Let's go.
Hello everybody, I am here with a cup of tea and the company of great people, including Reeve Taylor, who is with me. Welcome, Reeve, to our second event of the season. Thank you to Ian Danaher and Steve Allen. Ian Clarking, if not live, then certainly after the event, looking at everything. And broadcaster Steve Allen. But Reeve Taylor, great to be working with you again, mate, and very excited for us, our first event of the VRRC World Endurance League, the third VRRC series of 2026. And I think when we've had World Endurance Leagues before, I've only done the odd one here or there, but I take it you're well.
I am indeed, Richard. Thank you very much. A pleasure as always to be in the comms box with you. And as you say, yeah, not done too much on the World Endurance myself as well, but really looking forward to getting into it. Especially we're kicking off with a good round. I think we're in for a treat here at Imola. The organisers have treated us well, Richard, by dropping us in on this one.
Yeah, as you can see from the timings, the rounds, I'm sure Jack and Becky covered this off last week. Maybe not in the start, because I think we were without commentary noise at the start. So lots of things to say about different formats. As you can see, 6 of the rounds have 3 races. Rounds 4 and 8, so the halfway point and the final round, are longer races with double points. So the organisers, Rich Hayden and the team, just sort of shaking things up a little bit. But we're on round 2, Imola. Next week we are at Spa, and then the first of our double points rounds. We've got a couple of guest commentators joining us over the season as well. I don't know if we've said who they are. I'm not going to spoil it in case it puts you off turning up. I'm sure it won't, actually. I'm sure people will enjoy who we've got coming in the guest box. But a great variety of machinery as well. McLaren, Aston Martin, BMW replicas, all on track. And I guess we probably need to look and see who did what last week. Now, it's 2 events that can be dropped on this one, but those 2 must come from rounds 1 to 7. You're not allowed to drop Le Mans at the end. Driver of the round last week, the man in 4th place, Kieran Haynes. And ahead of him in the standings, Gabe Norse, who got the better of Jack Smith. 2 wins for Gabe Norse last week. Jack Smith 2nd, Oliver Gibson in 3rd. Behind Kieran, Lee Piercy and Christian Gillian. Chris Blakey 7th from Mason Turner, Sam Walton and Ollie Atkins wrapping up our top 10. Doesn't stop there though, because we've got effectively 3 pages of driver standings to bring you. Sam Gumbley in 11th from Jack Dickerson and Andy Dorman. Jacob Lander, I think a new name to VRRC, as is Jack Angel. Josh Brennan in 16th. Sure, I've heard that name before. John Jones, welcome back, John. I think Becky was saying last week that he'd been off with injuries, so great to have John back with us. Likewise, Zach Hancock's and Scott Bugner. What happened to Scott last week? Just 18 points. We'll see what he can do in the way of recovering points this evening. Rob Shepherd is in 20th, our 3rd and final page. The last driver who was competing last week was Paul Laramie. I think Paul only started or finished the first one, didn't do races 2 and 3, hence him being in a weird position for him in the table. And Kenny Press, Andy Carroll and Rich Hayden should complete the entry. We'll catch up with whether they are on track. I know Andy Carroll was practicing earlier on, but that's where we are in terms of those. Now, some of the drivers are getting together and racing together as teams, and it's the DK Power Racing team, the defending champions, if you like, on VRRC, who are top of the stack once again, already opening up a little bit of a lead over one of 3 Swift Cooper teams. It really is good to have the Swift Cooper boys back, and a good strong entry. 3 teams, that's superb. Shake and Bake 3rd from the 2nd Swift Cooper. VRRC SRT next up, but they'll be bolstered by Rich Hayden this weekend. Then we've got an independent team, Buck Aqua in 7th from Automac, the 3rd of the Swift Cooper boys, and Racing Bugs propping up the others at the moment in 10th position. So that's our little catch up of the point scenarios. This round, of course, as you've seen from the calendar, is at Imola, and really great. So I was talking virtual racing over the weekend with some people who have raced with us at VRRC, others who haven't but go off and do iRacing, and they really like the look of the schedule that's been put together here with a number of international circuits. And they also like the fact that we mix it up with sort of replications of home-based series as well, you know, when we've run the Minis, Legends and Formula Fords. But we're very much in international flavour at the moment at Imola. Next up is our hot lap. I haven't had a chance to look at the hot lap, so I'm not going to talk you around. We're just going to enjoy the hot lap as it comes from our star driver. Thanks to Jack Smith for doing the honours, as he usually does. We do have other guests doing them from time to time, but a good advert for Jack and his coaching business, I think you'll agree, Reeve. And if I ever wanted coaching, I think Jack would probably be the first man that I would go to, certainly in terms of the virtual world. We're looking at the reverse grid. It's the top 15 in the championship that get reversed, which is great because I think, Reeve, last time we were doing it, it was top 12, wasn't it? And it's just extended it out that little bit more. Some of the regulars get a chance to be off the front of the grid in the first race of the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like these reverse grid formats, especially when we have multi-race evenings as well. It really can mix things up and give drivers opportunities when they otherwise maybe wouldn't have during that racing. So I think it is really exciting. I'm really interested to see what the order is going to be looking like as we head further into this season. Obviously, drivers are getting a bit more familiar with a very different car to what we were driving over the past few months. So it should make for some interesting viewing here at Imola this evening.
I think you're right. The other thing I mentioned, of course, that Scott Bugner was well down on the points. He's 19th. So Scott would normally be in that reverse bit. So he's one of the drivers that's got to do some work to try and get himself into the top 15 for the reverse section of the race, but also to be in the top 15 of the championship when we go to Spa next week. So he's going to be looking to do that. Andy Carroll, who missed last time, is going to be doing the same. So too is Rich Hayden. So there might be a few folks, bumped from that, and we'll keep our eyes on that, and that'll be one of the considerations in terms of the driver of the round as well, which we will come to at the end if I remember to keep an eye on my messaging. But the race is very nearly underway here. Remember, 2 30-minute races and then a 15-minute shorter race. We are away with Jacob Lander and Jack Angel off the front of the grid, getting a reasonable start. Let's hope that the They all behave themselves. I must admit, I haven't seen a big VRRC bun fight and let's destroy each other for quite a while. Now, is that the curse of the commentator? Yes, we do get a car going off in the background, and you're going to have to excuse me while I familiarise myself with the colours as we go along. Andy Dorman 6. Jack Angel, though, leading. Good stuff from young Jack. Another Jack. Dickerson is in second place. Ollie Atkins in third from Jacob Lander. And Reeve, great. Not a bad start. Could have been a lot more hectic, but they've all got away pretty well, and we've got some good new names at the front.
We do indeed, as we can see Atkins going for a run down the inside there. I think a very mature race start for everyone, all things considered. We know we've seen Formula One drivers get it a bit messy at Tamburello when race starts. So I think well played by everyone there. We saw Gumbly really gunning for it in the red M4. He just lost out in the end to Jacob Lander by the looks of things. We now go on board with Kieran Haynes, one of my favourite parts of any racetrack here, as we run through Acqua Minerale now. Everyone's still playing a sensible, nice single file. A pink Aston, bad looks of things, just off in the distance. Sorry, that's the Dickerson McLaren there, actually being able to regain his place back on the tarmac there. As we all get a little bit demolition derby for a moment. We go through Variante Alta, few cars spinning around, but most pointing in the right direction. Haynes versus Jack Smith now is a bit of a drag race down to the Ravazzas.
So Jack Smith has come through from 14th on the grid up into 6th, and we're not even at the end of the first lap yet. Gabe Norse is 2 down behind him, or shall I call him Gabriel, which I think is what Jack Oliphant was calling him before he corrected himself last week. Sorry, Jack, I'm only joking. If Jack Oliphant is watching, he probably isn't, to be actually fair. I bet that Becky probably is watching. And I'll give an apology to anyone who's on YouTube and feeding stuff in the feed for me. I've got my computer screen. We're watching the monitor, the main stuff. I've got a timing screen, and that is it. So unfortunately, I don't get to pick up any comments on the YouTube feed. So if you are putting stuff through to me, I apologise that I'm not able to pick that up. But I'm guessing Steve and possibly Reeve will be able to do that as we go along.
Absolutely, I can do that. I can use my Starship Enterprise wall of screens to assist there. So
which Star Trek franchise are we talking about, by the way?
I'm going to have to go with the newer one. It's the one I'm more familiar with, unfortunately.
Oh, that's all right. They're all quality, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway,
Yep.
Racing is what's happening. Jack Smith in 5th place. Sam Gumbly in 4th, up ahead of him, and it's the Hop Cavern. It's a different logo, isn't it? A different colour scheme for Jack. I'm wondering where he's taking his inspiration from. We'll probably get the chance to talk to him on the podium. We normally do at some stage. Oliver Gibson's come up into 7th. And Reeve, I was having a look back at the rounds that I've done for VRRC at Imola in the past, and Jack Smith and Oliver Gibson, unsurprisingly, always there or thereabouts. And the last time we were here with VRRC was the BMW GT4 series last October, so it wasn't as long ago as I thought. And a winner piece for those guys, I think, last time.
Yeah, so they certainly have the merit here at this circuit, as we see Smith going down the inside into the Ravazzas, and that's too deep into the corner there for Ollie Atkins into that gravel. This is a traditional circuit, the type of circuit that we love. It's unforgiving if you push too hard. No big, massive tarmac runoffs, and unfortunate there for that driver. Go back on board with Sam Gumley, though, who's under a bit of pressure from Jack Dickerson here. That McLaren seems to be rather keen in a straight line with that bit of slipstream as well. Goes for a run round the outside into Tamburello, which is nice and brave. Seems to have pulled it off as well. As you can see, Gibson now on the scene. Jack Smith, Oliver Gibson, both a fan of a BMW last season, of course. They pick that and resume that up for this season. The new M4 Evo, of course, with the snake eyes. That's how you can really tell the big difference. Very capable machine indeed. And Gumbly now under threat. An M4 versus M4 battle. I think the M4 are a bit of a favourite of drivers, it seems, this season.
It looks like it, doesn't it? And Oliver Gibson very nearly sank those teeth in the Gumbly bum as they were on that previous bit of the lap. But he's got through. He's got up into 4th position. Angel from Smith. It's an all-Jack podium at the moment. Angel, Smith and Dickerson. They won't be in that order for very long, I doubt, as Jack Smith. 3 seconds, though. He's got to catch up on Jack Angel. I was commentating on a race at the weekend where, you know, a decent driver got away early stages, said, I'm not going to catch him. And one could say the same about Jack Angel here, but you can't discount Jack Smith. He's going to get his head down and work, as is his brother here, Oliver Gibson, trying to close down on Jack Dickerson. But just look in the mirrors as well. It's not just about focusing on what's up front. He's got to be mindful of what's going on behind, and Kieran Haynes will want to get back at him. Sam Gumbly will want to come and play as well. Lee Piercy is in 7th. Now, what's happened to Gabe Norse? Where's Gabe Norse in all of this? Having a look at he's down in 15th. Don't know what happened. Apologies, Gabe. At the moment, 15th would be pole position for race 2, but the championship leader will want to be higher up in this one and matching the likes of Smith and Gibson, who are his main championship rivals, right the way through this one. Of course, you can drop 2 events, so he's not going to be as concerned as he might have been on previous series where we just dropped the 1. But yeah, a little bit disappointing to see Gabe down there. Having said that, he's now got up to 13th.
He has indeed, so definitely on a recovery. And still 25 minutes in this one to go. Plenty of time, as you said earlier, Richard. 2 longer races before the shorter sprint later on as Piercy has a look down the inside, side by side with Dickerson. Impressive stuff here. It's not the widest part of the circuit by any means. There in the middle as well as Ollie Atkins trying to jump in on that action. A bit of contact between the McLaren and the Aston, but we all make it through. And there as well as Sam Gumley. It's going to be a quartet of cars on the attack here, all vying for position. They might be at risk of beginning to cost themselves some time to the leaders at the front end of the pack. Already seeing a bit of a gap building up. We'll see how that develops. They run down through Acqua Minerale, and Jack Angel having a few issues there on track by the looks of things. He's off at Acqua Minerale, I think, and is tumbling down the order.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? Great for the brothers who are 1 and 2 now. Jack Smith and Ollie Gibson 1 and 2. Kieran Haynes now steps up into 3rd from Ollie Atkins. So 2 relative newcomers. I say relative, they started with us back in the Formula Ford. So I think this is their 3rd championship with us. So really becoming veterans. But yeah, running well 3rd and 4th. Lee Piercy 5th at the moment. Jack Angel hopefully will recover. Then Jack Dickerson, who's had a little bit of a mare as well. But you know what I was saying at the start about Scott Bugner? He's already got up into the reverse grid positions for race 2. And he's up into 9th. I'm sure he'll have a moan about this being rear-wheel drive, which he normally does. But I think he needs to sort of put those rear-wheel drive moans behind him, because he's a quick peddler in whatever you stick him in.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he beat Tim Harvey, didn't he, the other day as well in the MGs?
Fantastic stuff there, as we can see Lee Piercy going for a run down the inside, Jack Angel clinging on to P6. But yeah, Bugner looking quite good in these cars. I think in one of his interviews last season he mentioned he was starting to get there with the rear-wheel drive stuff, which is great to hear that progression. And I must say as well, I'm a big fan of his livery for this season as well. A zany looking thing. It looks really impressive overall. All of the paintwork, fabulous job by everyone involved to get that sorted.
Yeah, really good stuff. And I'm just having a look to see whether we've got our graphics man, Kenny Press. I don't think he's racing yet. Haven't seen. Well, Kenny wasn't with us last week. Maybe he's having the first couple of rounds away. I'm ashamed because I didn't catch up with Kenny at Donington at the touring car round. It's amazing how these weekends get away from you when you're working and you don't get time to sort of pop in and see someone. But there are a lot of people that are around Donington from VRRC. Good to see Christian Gillian in the top 10 as well. Gabe Norse is knocking on the door now, isn't he, of that? And Gabe's going to have a look here in the predominantly red but white fronted car. Goes through. Gabe Norse up into 10th place. Don't know what the issue was with Gabe, but remember started 15th. So when I was making huffs and puffs about him being 14th and 13th, he was still ahead of where he started, and he's made great progress here. And he's not that far away, really, from the likes of Scott Bugner. So he's got Sam Gumley between himself and Scott Bugner at the moment. Fastest lap, as you can see, being posted by Jack Smith out front, 3.5 seconds ahead of Oliver Gibson. Ollie having 2 podiums last week, and the interview I caught sounded a little bit surprised about being on the podium in GTs, but it's never a surprise to me that he is there, as Scott Bugner trying to close in. And in case you didn't realise, you probably did from the way Reeve described it, there it is, that real Larry livery from Scott Bugner, which is a nice standout, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The McLaren as well. I think those who've got a lovely TV screen watching at home will be really benefiting from this and might need to put their sunglasses on this evening. Got some really bright liveries, but a great little battle potentially brewing up here. Dickerson clinging on to P7. I think Angel just in front, recovering from that earlier instance, of course, and just getting back into a rhythm, controlling things now. He's not, he's picked himself up from that. He isn't necessarily losing pace to the cars behind, and is probably hoping to at least pick up some good points, which he can do from this position.
Young Jack got a 7th in the opening race, qualified 11th last week and got a 7th and a 16th and 19th. But the 7th place is going to be the benchmark that we'll probably look at, see if he can go one better than this and get involved with the likes of Lee Pearcey up ahead of him. And he's, of course, betting himself into racing with these guys. He's got no clue about what these fellas are like on the whole to race with. So he's going to be getting used to that. If he stays where he is or thereabouts, he'll be in the reverse grid mix, the front part of the grid as well, as we watch Pearcey trying to close in on Ollie Atkins at the moment. So they're relatively close. And, you know, again, we've actually already had the first 10 minutes go. These races go very quick. I used to think the 20-minute races were quick, but the half-hour ones are going to go just as quick as well. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to the hour-long specials that we've got coming up at Nurburgring and Le Mans.
Yeah, absolutely. They should make for some very interesting viewing, very different to what we are seeing elsewhere in this format. Although these 30-minute races, we might get a brief inkling as to what they're going to look like, as we can see Chris Blakey there getting a move done before the run into Tamburello. Nicely executed. We go back aboard with Pearcey. Pearcey has been keeping Atkins company for a little while in this race now. Hasn't gone for any brash moves just yet. Has just been sizing up his opponents. Bit of oversteer creeping in the Aston. It's pretty much front mid, that thing. Well, as all of these GT3 cars, really. But it's a shorter wheelbase than the car in front of it. So it's a little bit twitchy, a little bit more of a bucking bronco to tame potentially as they run down to the Acqua Minerale. Atkins seems to be controlling things for the time being, but it does get technical at this part of the circuit. Some time to be found as we see Pearcey closing on up with this great interior shot that we've got, staying in that slipstream stoutly. He's not breaking away from it to size up his opponent just yet. He's getting every single kilometre an hour he can.
Yeah, trying to work it real hard. It's fascinating. While you were chatting there, I was just having a look around the cockpit and amazed at how much detail there is in there for the drivers to enjoy. Jack Dickerson having a little bit of a wide moment. Christian Gillian trying to close him in as well. Scott Bugner now down in 11th. So Scott's obviously had an issue somewhere and dropped away out of the top 10. Just going to quickly refresh my timing screen. So we've got Andy Dorman 15th at the moment. So Andy on potential pole. Rich Hayden setting himself up for a front row for race 2. He's 14th, and Gabe Norse immediately ahead of him in 13th position. And as I say, they have got the luxury of 2 dropped rounds here. Haven't worked out how the points go on the single race Nurburgring round. I'm guessing the points for the whole meeting will be the same. Otherwise, everyone's just going to end up dropping the Nurburgring one, aren't they?
Yeah, that's not what we want to see. We want to see a nice packed Nurburgring because it's a daunting track, but it is a very enjoyable one.
So yeah, Chris Blakey. I can't remember who was running the program last week, but I think one of the drivers was running the tech side for us last week, if I remember correctly. And I'll come back to that a little bit later on. Jack Smith now 5 seconds clear. He's running away with this one at the moment. I did write. What was the round we had before? I can't remember. It was the time before the BMW GT4 series. It was the last time we had World Endurance League. I think Eric won it actually, if I remember correctly. But I don't think I did all of those rounds, and that was when Jack Oliphant was the main commentator, and I sort of stepped in for a couple. But I'm pretty sure I didn't do Imola on that one. But yeah, I think Eric Axelson won on that occasion, if memory serves correctly. And I hope Eric is well, as we see Lee Pearcey again still trying to close in on Ollie Atkins, trying everything that he can, throwing everything at that at the moment. But Ollie looking fairly cool for my money in 4th place, not that far behind Oliver Gibson as well. So Jack Angel down behind them, still running well in 6th. Chris Blakey in 7th. Sam Gumbly, Jack Dickerson. Once this has settled down, or once it did settle down, there's not a huge amount of catching, chasing going on, is there? This is relatively calm at the moment.
No, and I think that could well be a sensible play by those drivers. As I said right at the start, where everyone seems to be quite well behaved, this is the opportunity in the race weekend where drivers probably want to just get points on the board and get themselves fully up to speed with how their opponents are racing as well. We've got a 15-minute sprint to go for the bold moves later on. I think this point is about getting the final last tweaks on your setup. Thinking, oh, actually, you know what? Here's my fuel usage in a proper race when I'm under pressure instead of during practice runs, that sort of thing. So drivers might be going for that while they are looking probably looking a little bit forwards towards that sprint race, I imagine, later on, where we have to say within the regulations, but to some effect, the limit are raised slightly, shall we say?
Yes, I think that is indeed the case. We're watching at the moment from Jack Dickerson trying to close in. He's got behind him Christian Gillian, and I think Gabe Norse back in the distance as well. And I was looking up stats for Andy Carroll. Andy wasn't with us last week, but he's usually a regular on the podium. So he's outside the top 15 because he wasn't here last week, but could be putting himself in the mix to maybe get a podium in race 2. And, you know, by default there, if he gets a good score, might well get into podium-ish positions for race 3. And Kieran Haynes didn't make a podium last week, but has always looked like a podium contender in the 3 series we've had, the Formula Fords, the touring cars that we ran from March as well. So he's going to be, I'm guessing, relatively happy to be in a podium position, but we're still looking at Chris Blakey, who's got ahead of Jack Angel. Jack's still in 7th. Remember, that was his result in race 1 last week. So running well, as is Chris Blakey, with Andy Carroll a little way down behind them at the moment. Gabe Norse now 15th, so Gabe in potential pole position for race 2 with Rich Hayden. Still want to see the Gabe. You still kind of want to see Gabe up there with Ollie and Jack, and Kieran Haynes, and all kind of battling it out together. But it doesn't come together very often. And to be fair, you know, this is virtual reality racing. It's the same in the real world. There's we were watching JCW Minis at the weekend, Scottish Legends cars, and there are very few occasions when you actually get 2 or 3 main championship protagonists engaged in a 3-way battle together, and it is the same here. But when it does happen, it is enthralling to watch, and very often a big treat. Big treat for Jack Smith at the moment. 6.2 seconds clear, well into the second half of the race. And Jack Angel, made a little mistake there, did Jack? That's a shame. So lose a little bit of ground. But that is because he's trying so hard, to be absolutely fair. So good stuff from Jack. Another Jack Dickerson in 10th position, trying to work hard. But I think there's a few surprises here. No surprise at the front, but good to see some new names up towards the front in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, as we see the VRRC careers progress as well, we'll see even more of them as that confidence builds, and they absolutely should be confident. They're doing a fantastic job. I remember the awful attempt that I last made to race at Imola. I remember my first and only attempt of racing in the VRRC, if you remember that, Richard, when I had to jump in as a reserve last minute in a Ferrari, and it went somewhat all right, but then it was shall we say, there's a reason why I've stayed on the microphone.
Was I there that day? Which one was that?
That was it was Sepang. I think it might have been World Endurance. And as I say, it's a good thing that racing career didn't continue on.
Oh, you've got to carry on. You've got to practice. You've got to be resilient. That's my buzzword for the year, resilient.
I'm just more about the safety of the drivers. Is my primary concern.
Well, we'd love to see you back. It's great having you in the comms box. But either way, comms or racing, always a pleasure to have you around, mate. As Jack Smith carries on, I've got new colours on my timing screen today, so it doesn't really come across that well as to who has the fastest lap. Trying to work out how that manifests itself on the colours. I don't know if I can change those. Should have done a little bit of setup work. But we can come back to that because there are, I think, extra points available for fastest lap. Jack Smith's still out front. Now, Jack Smith here will be learning when he watches it back. I know he always does. That by being 6.9, well, nearly 7 seconds clear, you don't get any coverage, do you?
No, you don't. It's almost like the sword of Damocles, isn't it? You're a victim of your own success there with that impressive pace. I think the DK Power squad are going to be very happy with their points haul from Imola as it looks so far. They've already made a good innings after the first round, and that looks to be continuing on as we approach the final 10 minutes of this, only the first race of 3 this evening.
Andy Carroll, driver of the round for me so far. There he is. He's up into 8th place. Look at that, putting my money on that straight away. 8th position from nowhere. superb stuff. I think some of the other drivers in the mid-order have had issues, but he's just got his head down. He's closing in on Jack Angel. Part of me says I don't want him to pass Jack because I'd like Jack to equal his 7th place from last week. But equally, it would be a real good move if Andy Carroll can make it up into 7th and maybe higher. Scott Bugner, look at this. This is one of the battles we wanted to see. Scott Bugner getting stuck in as well. So he's making progress. Big gap, though, behind Andy Carroll. Andy Dorman in the mix as well. So Andy trying to get in the mix and make some progress and try and get back at Scott Bugner. As I say, it's weird, you know, not seeing. I'd be interested if we can get Scott on the podium for race 2, find out what the story was last week. But, you know, clearly got the pace. But it's unusual to see him down at the bottom end of the top 9. But then having said that, you've probably got 12, 13, 14 drivers that could or should be occupying the top 5 or 6. So it's that competitive. And I'll probably say that every round now. It's just getting a bit of a yawn for everyone, to be perfectly honest. But I won't yawn anymore because we've got some excitement here as Andy Dorman's going to have a go at Scott Bugner. And is he going to be able to brave this one out around the outside, Reeve?
Oh, it's a tricky place to try and go around the outside through the revatas. It nearly almost worked. So proper respect from both drivers there towards each other for giving each other the room to give that a go without anyone ended up in the gravel, which is usually what you see if you go for a move like that through the revatas. They're able to continue on those. We run through Bassa onto that start finish almost straight. Tamburello comes up next, side by side. Once again, Dorman with the outside move potentially. No, Bugner's going to go later on the brakes. He can afford to do that with a bit more confidence when he's got the inside. Gets a bit more of a tarmac to play with when you're on the inside into Tamburello there, and he maintains the lead as we head for Villeneuve now. Closing up again though is Dorman out of these corners. This Aston Martin of Dorman, I'm sure it's much more the driver's skill than the car, seems to be absolutely electric out of those corners. Well, thankfully it isn't. It makes a fabulous AMG V8 noise, but he runs through towards Piratella now, still in single file, and is keeping that M4 on its toes. But I'm just seeing in the rear view mirror there, folks, there is Sam Gumley jumping in on the action as well.
Sam Gumley is trying to get involved as well. Do you know what? I mean, outside line of Scott Bugner is never going to work. He's not going to take you off, but he ain't going to let you past either. It's does get his elbows out, doesn't he, Scott? I'm not saying it's impossible, but, you know, and a little mistake there by Bugner, and he's going to get spanked for that one, I think, but manages to get back on, but not in the lead. And at the moment, Andy Dorman's got his nose in front. Sam Gumley's going to try and join in. So, well, that was a reward for Andy Dorman. I wonder what caused that, whether he was just being a little bit harried, but it was a mistake rather than a move around the outside that earns Andy Dorman the 9th position. But now we've got Bugner coming back, and Scott takes a wider line in there to try and gain momentum on the exit, carries the speed right the way through the corner, and we'll see whether Gumley can get involved as well. In the little battle that we've got behind them, we've got Gabe Norse in 12th place, who goes through. Andy Carroll just goes through shot as well, so Andy Carroll closing up on Chris Blakey. See what I mean about this progress that Carroll's made here? Sounds like he's my favourite, doesn't it, in this one? It's not actually the case, but just the progress he's made right from the back. Wasn't with us last week, so started right with the back group. Terrific progress up into 7th, now challenging for 6th. If there was a driver of the race, or most places gained, which they do in, you know, the likes of British F4 and the like that I work on, then he would probably be in line for that. Bugner has dealt with Dorman again as we get into a little bit of traffic.
We do indeed, running out of room here at Imola as well. In fact, all 3 cars back on the tarmac, though. I do wonder whether we're hitting the phase of the race where, you know, people are battling once more because tyres are becoming back into play. It's a high-speed circuit here at Imola. So much energy going through, particularly the front left. Oh, big old incident further back in shot. Sam is round and into the gravel as well. It's Dorman able to continue on. Bugner able to continue on as well. That promotes Hayden up in to 10th, and Carroll is dropping off the back of Blakey just ever so slightly, but I'm sure we still have plenty left to fight for those drivers.
I think we do. Jack Smith has eked the gap out to 7 seconds now. He was shade under that, or he's shade under it again now, to Oliver Gibson. Whether they're both backing off and saving their tyres for a Hop Cavern 1-2 remains to be seen. Kieran Haynes still in a nice 3rd, looking for his first podium of the campaign in the 4th race of the series. Ollie Atkins looking strong as well in 4th. And those two, for me, sort of represent the new guard coming into VRRC, Haynes and Atkins, because they're ahead of some old guard races like Lee Pearcey, Chris Blakey, Andy Carroll, Scott Bugner, Andy Dorman, Rich Hayden. So those youngsters really showing the way. Sam Walton's 12th at the moment. In fact, update that. He's 11th. Jack Dickerson, 12th from Andy Dorman. Christian Gillian in 14th. So we could see Christian at the front. Then Mason Turner and Jack Angel recovering. Jack could keep himself in the reverse grid point, which would be interesting for race 2. 4 minutes 39 to go.
We do indeed. I think a couple of drivers having a few desync issues there in the world of sim racing. We don't necessarily have the mechanical issues that you'll have in the real world, but we do still have issues out on track nonetheless. So it is a real form of racing in that regard. Hayden up into 10th now. He's probably going to be really keen on getting a few more points on the board, and obviously reverse grid action coming up later on should be higher up that field to kick off for another 30-minute race in the not too distant future. Is actually closing up on Norse here as we head through Aqua Minerale. That Aston seems to be a little bit on fire at the moment, not in the way that you'd expect like an Aston from the 70s to quite literally be on fire, but just as in it's going very quickly.
Did they do that in the 70s?
Yeah, it's a British car from the 1970s. Of course it'll randomly catch on fire.
I stopped myself from saying something politically incorrect for one of my former customers there a minute ago, so I give myself a pat on the back. And you're going, what's that? And I'm not going to tell you, but because I hope to be working with them again later on in the year. It's to do with fires and sports cars. People who know me will know what I'm talking about. Andy Carroll, though, yeah, you're right. He's lost a little bit more ground, hasn't he, on Chris Blakey at the moment? So probably taken the most out of his tyres at the moment. But having said that, he seems to be sort of recovering maybe a little bit. And trying to get back in the wheel tracks of Chris Blakey and maybe looking at getting a P5 here. But it's Smith, Gibson, Haynes, Atkins, Blakey, Carroll, Bugner, Pearcey, Gabe Norse now. Again, this is resilient, up into 9th. Rich Hayden is in P10. So we sort of had that early bit where we had a few shenanigans at the start. Then we had a sort of middle period where things calmed down. And then a few people started to have a go and have some battles. And we're having a look at Lee Pearcey here. Is there, I'm wondering, if you look at the aerofoils where the numbers are, wings where the numbers are, wing ends, some have different backgrounds, colours. So if we look at Lee Pearcey's a black background, and I'll come to why I'm talking about this in a minute, but some of them have got red. Is it to do with the car, or is it, do you think, driver choice?
That is a very good question. Might be one we have to pose to the organisers there, potentially. Rich might even jump on towards the end of the broadcast and let us know, mightn't he, if we're lucky.
He might do, yeah. Anyway, so Carroll and Blakey, yeah, closing up again now. So whether Andy's going to have time to get past. And, of course, you've got the things that you mentioned, really, very rightly, tyre wear, you've got driver fatigue that could come into it as well. It's not the hottest of days where I am, but I'm guessing temperatures are going to be varying up and down the country. 1 minute 53 to go. Andy, for me, running out of time here, but again, a great performance on his starting position. And we have to say the same for Scott Bugner as well, because remember, he was right down the arse end of the table as well, to use the technical term, as we now get to the end of the race. So it's time to have a look at Jack Smith. So Jack hasn't had any coverage, so we haven't mentioned the Hop Cavern too much. You and I must be due a few free drinks at the Hop Cavern when we get there.
That sounds like a brilliant plan. I'm going to do some important research and see how long that drive is.
That'd be good research, wouldn't it? Good drive by Jack Smith, though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really putting his foot forward as a contender, perhaps to no other prize for the championship with this type of drive. Imola, as I say, it's a technical circuit. It's not the easiest one to master, although it is well known and loved by many. And he just seems to be up to speed and cracking on with things. I'm sure, knowing Jack, he'd probably be wishing for a little bit more competition, as he tends to often do in the interviews afterwards. So maybe if someone wants to chuck a bit of lead in that M4 before we carry on, or something like that. Andy Carroll, meanwhile, is back on the heels of Chris Blakey. This fight looks ready to continue on as they head through Variante Alta. Now drop down all the elevation that you build up throughout the mid part of the lap. As you pick up all that speed into the double left-handers, one of the slower parts of the circuit, before you bring yourself back up towards the dizzying heights of top speed towards Tamburello once again. It's a circuit that I love, as I say already, but Carroll has a look down the inside. We're still side by side through that second regatta. It becomes a bit of a drag race as to who's got the better grip out the corner. So far, Blakey just about holding on to it. What's going to be quicker is going to be a clear case of Aston versus McLaren, and it's anyone's call at the moment. I think that McLaren might have a very slight advantage in terms of top end pull compared to the Aston, and it seems to be working well as he has the inside for Tamburello, has the position gained, doesn't need to go for any late braking manoeuvres. It's Andy Carroll up into P5, not securely though. Blakey wants this back.
That was an absolute joy to watch, just as much as listening to you call that, Reeve. Absolutely superb stuff. Thanks, mate. Really, really good. Jack Smith and those guys are on their last lap now. For my money, I think my favourite car is going to be the McLaren at the moment in terms of the look of it. A little bit of a wobble there from Jack. He can afford to do it. 7.4 seconds clear of his brother. Kieran Haynes is in third position still, and I wrote down the top three. I always make a quick note of it so that my old head can remember who we're talking to on the podium. But I wrote this down, you know, with barely 5 minutes gone. So that hasn't been the curse of any of the drivers. It's been very settled in terms of the podium. And Jack Smith very well on his way, and will take the checkered flag to take another win, second win of the campaign. Well done to Jack Smith. It's going to be Oliver Gibson in second position. The timing screen showing Lee Pearcey and confusing us all in third place, but of course it is Kieran Haynes who comes through in that next position. So well done to Kieran. Ollie Atkins will take fourth position. Andy Carroll in fifth, ahead of Chris Blake and Scott Bugner, and certainly Andy and Scott running very well through from the back of the field. Now, do we look at I refresh mine, or do we go with the timing tower, which seems to be a little bit out of sorts? Let's have a quick look. Andy Carroll 5th, Chris Blakey 6th, Lee Pearcey, John Jones 8th. Is that right? He was further down, wasn't he, earlier on? Well, we'll have to come back with an official result for you. But Reeve, a great way to open our evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoroughly enjoyable race. Nice to see drivers getting stuck in and going for some nice moves while also being really respectful. And long may that continue this evening.
Yeah, we very much hope so. Timing screen still settling itself down. How far did I get? Chris Blakey 7th, Gabe Norse 8th on the one I'm looking at. Rich Hayden 9th from Sam Walton. Jack Dickerson, Christian Gilliam, Mason Turner 13th, Jack Angel 14th, Zach Hancock's 15th, showing on my screen, in which case he will start on pole for race 2. Then it was Sam Gumbley. Shame for Sam, he ran strongly early on. Jacob Lander 17th from Robert Shepherd, Lee Pearcey and John Jones 20th run. I'm sure we had 21 at the start, so somebody's left the server, which is a pity. And we'll have a word with our top three in just a couple of minutes, so why not stay with us?
Stages of the second Legends Cars race.
Welcome back. So our first bunch of interviews, and for our third place interview, I'm gonna take a little break and hand over to Reeve. So Reeve, onto the podium with you, young man.
Thank you very much, Richard. And up first, we need to have a chat with Kieran Haynes. Kieran, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good, yeah.
Imagine even better after a podium this evening. Congratulations. What did you make of the first race this evening at Imola then?
I think it was a good race, yeah. Lap 1, I had a very good start. Then the last corner, Gabe was just pushing me a little bit. and then he spun himself. I'm not sure why he was pushing me, but yeah, at the end there I was just losing my pace with the top two, but it was a good race, and I'm hoping to come in the top three again for the next two.
Absolutely, I think you're more than capable of that. You mentioned the pace starting to trail off a little bit towards the end of the race. Would you say tyres maybe coming into a bit of effect in these 30-minute races?
I want to say so, yeah. I mean, the tyres were like, they were dropping off and then they were coming straight back and then they were dropping off again. It was a bit odd. But I think I have that fixed for the next one, so it should be good.
Love a little setup tweaks there, potentially, that I'm sure you're not willing to share with your rivals at this point, Kieran.
Yeah, maybe not.
But it's been a very good start to the season for yourself so far, hasn't it? I'm just looking back at, obviously, in at the Losail circuit, you were your driver of the round, fourth in the standings overall, but we were selected for driver of the round due to, I'm sure, some fantastic bits of racing action. Are you enjoying this kind of selection of tracks so far?
I am. Qatar, it was very tight, and it was just such an annoying track to overtake on. But this track is much better, and I'm really enjoying this racing.
Yeah, Imola, those nice high speed, some flowing sections, obviously some tricky braking zones to deal with as well. What are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to the next 30-minute race coming up, or are you more about that 15-minute sprint that we're going to have at the end?
I'm looking at the last race because that's where I normally come in. So I want to say the last race because I think the P1 might be on the charts.
I'm liking that confidence, Kieran. Well, we are going to look out for you in that case then, and wish you all of the best for not just race 3, but for race 2 as well. Congratulations on your first podium of the evening.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Reeve, and well done to Kieran Haynes of the Swift Cooper Black team. So first podium of the evening, and indeed the campaign for him. Next up, we're going to talk to the man whose nickname is Chernobyl, and we're going to deal with the fallout from the first race of the evening with Oliver Gibson, P2, and nice to talk to you again, Ollie. We always do, don't we? We usually have a bit of a natter, but a great result there for you, and quite a lot of work to come through to get where you did.
Yeah, that was a. I like that intro. That was a good intro.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, no, the race was good. The result's good, but and obviously coming, I think I started 13th. Obviously that's decent, but I just wasn't too pleased with my driving. I made way too many mistakes and had, I think, probably 10 too many near misses. So I need to clean it up a little bit. And obviously there's that near 8-second gap to Jack. So there's still a bit of work to do. But no, I mean, the result's good. Obviously Gabe had that incident on the first few laps. So that helps me and Jack in the championship. Obviously it's early days yet, so there's a lot to play for. But no, a good result. Just, yeah, I need to clean it up a little bit for the next two.
How much of it's only another 10 minutes, the race, but does that make a difference to you when you kind of used to VRRC formats of, 15 minutes I think we have with the Legends and then sort of 20 minutes we normally have with the touring cars, and now going to half an hour, and even the hour races coming up at Nurburgring and Le Mans. Does that make a difference at all on an evening, where you've been, I'm sure you've been working hard. I know you finished your studies for the year, but I'm sure you've been out working hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think back in the day, I think I'd be more used to I used to do like an hour races. So when I first started VRRC, it was a bit of a switch up to go from an hour race to, I think we used to do 25 when I first started. So yeah, I mean the 10 minutes isn't a lot, but I do think it plays a part, and especially towards the end of the race. I mean, the tyres properly fall off a cliff, especially last week. So I think everyone's glad when they see that 15-minute race at the end and they think, oh, back to normal. But yeah, no, I enjoy them, and I am looking forward to the hour race as well, because yeah, it's just nice to have a change every now and again. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, nice one. The clock's ticking down, so I'm going to say well done. Good to catch up with you, Ollie, and maybe speak to you a little bit later on. But well done. Good luck for race 2.
Cheers, thank you.
And completing the hat-trick of BMWs on the podium, let's go back to Reeve to talk to our race winner.
Thank you very much, Richard, and a big congratulations once again to Jack Smith. This is becoming quite a familiar sight for myself. Jack on the top step of the podium once again. Good way to kick off the season for the DK Power Squad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beneficial once you know how launch control works. So we got that figured out, and the launches are now way better. I'm not losing like 3 positions off the line now, which is nice. So. Yeah, no, good race. Had a bit of a, I don't really know what happened at T1. I broke a little bit early, slightly on the brakes just to make sure I didn't check up into anyone, but then I got checked up into, got a bit of rear wing damage, and yeah, it didn't really help my case, but we had some good pace anyway, and yeah, managed to get through the first lap all clean, and yeah, managed to pull away from the guys behind and get through the traffic nice and quickly. And I think it was like 23 minutes remaining. We were already near the front, and I was a bit confused. I didn't really understand how it happened that fast because I didn't think I had overtaken that many people. But yeah, I think people just sort of fell off in front of me, and it just sort of paved my way. I guess it would have been nice to race them. But yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes. I feel it's yeah, it's just one of them. But yeah, super happy to come away with first in race 1. I think it's very beneficial at this point in the championship already. I'm already thinking about the championship, so yeah, it's always good.
Absolutely. I mean, you've answered one of my bingo card calls there, which was you were going to complain that you didn't have enough people to race. I said that during race 1, and there we go. And it's scary to think, Jack, that you've actually got more pace under your belt at this circuit, given you had that rear wing damage. So hopefully we're going to see more of you in race 2 as well. Richard mentioned a hat trick of BMWs. Would you say car of choice out of the 3 so far this season?
Honestly, I think it will dip between cars because I know the McLaren is quite fast here. I saw Andy put in a 42.0, which is a fast lap. That's really fast. So the McLaren has pace, yeah, for sure. The BM's quite nice on how it takes curbs, so I think that aids us here. But you know, when we get to other tracks, you know, like Bahrain, where it's super smooth and there's not really massive curbs you can hit, I feel the BM might fall behind a little bit there. You don't really know until you get there, really. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But we'll take it if we do have an advantage here. We'll take it and we'll carry it forward. So yeah.
Lovely bit of insight, Jack, as ever. Thank you very much for your time. I'm going to let you get away and get ready for the next race, which is imminent now. So a big thank you. Congratulations once again for another victory. I'm sure we're going to have another chance to chat later on.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Reeve. Well done, Jack, on the win. And as I say, that's kind of evens things up. It's 2 wins apiece now for Jack Smith and Gabe Norse. And Ollie Gibson, that was his best finish, wasn't it? Because he had 2 thirds last week. Chris Blakey was 3rd in the first race. So the results being shared out amongst our top drivers, as you might expect. So we're looking at the grid now, and it is the man who finished 15th, Zach Hancock, who starts on pole. Jack Angel alongside, so second bite of the cherry for Jack. Mason Turner and Christian Gillian on row 2. Then Jack Dickerson and Sam Walton. Rich Hayden has got some fighting to do with Gabe Norse on the next row. Scott Booner and Chris Blakey, Andy Carroll and Ollie Atkins, Kieran Haynes and Oliver Gibson, with Jack Smith starting as the last of the reverse grid drivers, and he'll have Sam Gumberley alongside him on the, it'll be 8th row of the grid, won't it, as they work themselves out. So a good start, went very quickly, and we've got to do all the same again. And this time, of course, the reverse, comes into play. Might be a little bit of consolation for Gabe Norse, who's starting 8th, but still got a huge amount of work to do, Reeve.
Absolutely, should make for some very interesting viewing coming up in just a moment. I think drivers, from at least what we heard then, seem to really enjoy racing here, and I know Jack in particular looking for a bit more action. I think he's certainly going to get that as we go for our second race start of the evening. Drivers maybe a little bit more confident, maybe know their rivals and have got their launches nailed. This should be a good one.
I think it will be. We are getting down towards the time where, there they are, the lighting sequence pops up just as we anticipate it here on VRRC Tuesday, and another race imminent. Let's see what Zach Hancock's and Jack Angel could do from the front row of the grid. They both get away well. It's a good start too from Christian Gillian, who manages to get up into 3rd position with a rocket ship start. Can he hang on to it? It's a big bun fight going on right behind him as well. So this early sort out is certainly the thing to watch. And again, pretty measured start by everybody, and it's Hancock's that leads from Angel Gillian. We're from Jack Dickerson. Gabe Norse, in fact, gets ahead of Dickerson, and there are the shenanigans that we get in the early stages. And sometimes it doesn't come through turn 1, it comes through turn 2, and if not turn 2, it's turn 3. We'll sort out who that was involved as the fight for second goes on. It's Jack Angel getting the better of Christian Gillian there to go up into second position, with Scott Bugner sort of working his way through and up into fourth position, and keen to get his first podium of the campaign. He was 19th, 18th and 20th last week. I suspect that might be down to the fact that he maybe hadn't had as much testing in the car as we want, but again, get him on the podium, we will find out. Decent start, Reeve Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely. Gillian looked like he was about to get caught up in some of the shenanigans there potentially, but has recovered well. See a huge train of cars heading on through Aqua Minerale there. As we can see, that looks to be that's Norse having a run down the inside into Alta there. Does pull off the move as just behind is Jack Smith and Andy Carroll. I can see the snake eyes of Jack Smith's car there side by side with his opponents. As we stay on board with North's fifth position as we run into the Ravatas. Down the inside goes Bugner on Gillian. That's a lovely move that we just caused through that first Ravata. Through the second we go. North looking to replicate the same through the second. Can't quite pull it off this time. Now has that slipstream as we run our way down towards Tamburello. There is a corner at the start of the lap before Tamburello, but it's barely a corner in modern high downforce cars. It's just a blast up towards Tamburello really here at Imola as we go. Norse versus Gillian. Norse winning out up into P4, gets a nose in front and completes the move. Meanwhile, further back, we can see Mason Turner in the mix. Jack Smith just behind Andy Carroll up in front. So that is a formidable duo to be battling here at Imola.
It is, and that's the thing now with the standard of racing we've got. If you're new and watching this and thinking about having a go, don't let the quality of the, I was going to say the top drivers, don't let the quality of all of them, as I talk about quality of drivers, we then get contact and one pinging off into the side. Don't let it put you off joining, because if we get enough people, we can run a newcomers championship for sure, and I'd be happy to support that if Rich Hayden wants me to, and it'd be great to encourage some more newcomers in. I know we can only do with a certain amount, and there's more contact again as oh dear, is that Jack falling down? Disappointing to see a little bit of contact, but it's still Zach Hancock's out front from Scott Bugner. Gabe Norse in third. So the thing I was looking for was maybe Jack Smith and Gabe Norse, but we're going to have Scott Bugner and Jack Norse going on now, which in fact is happening as we look, and it ends up off track after all that.
It does indeed. That slows those two down, in particular Norse and Smith filing on through. Fantastic run on the exit of Alta there. Is now going to be side by side with Bugner, ahead of Bugner in fact. Not having a look down the inside, Bugner's the driver to try and take that position back using that line. Through the second Ravazza we go, and Jack Smith up into P4 already. He had a bit more, he was after a bit more overtaking, and I think he's certainly got that on his hand now, because we've got Hancocks and Christian who've done a fantastic job of starting this race. In particular, Hancocks, who has nailed exactly what we want from these reverse grids, which is give those drivers who haven't quite done so well in race one the opportunity to show what they can do, and he absolutely is. He's controlling this race so nicely out in front, so he's doing an immense job. Andy Carroll, meanwhile, under pressure from Bugner. Smith up in fourth, as I say, but trying to change that into third. Now Smith third, sorry. Norse versus Smith is a battle that we remember well from the touring car action last season, and I think it's going to resume quite nicely here as we run up towards the seventh corner on the lap.
This is what I was saying in race one, wasn't it? You don't get to see very often the battle between the drivers you want to see battle, which is Jack Smith and Gabe Norse. We do want to see that, but we've got the added mix here of Andy Carroll and Scott Bugner and Chris Blakey and Oliver Gibson right behind them. Other stories as well. I mean, our director Steve is probably wondering where to go next, because we've got big
instant there. Gillian involved, and as well as that, Lee Pearcey in the mix there as well. Didn't quite see the other car. Sorry. Norse now leads this round. No, it's Hancock's. Zach Hancock. Sorry.
I was just about to talk about Zach Hancock. I don't know very much about Zach, and I was going to ask any drivers that are new to us. There is an area on the Discord chat where you can put notes in for the commentary team, which is helpful. We can Google you, but very often if we don't know you, could end up Googling the wrong person. We don't want to impart the wrong information. So, please do let us have some notes or get in touch. I'll make another apology. Seems we do lots of apologies for this one, but I've wound up my social media accounts for a couple of months. So Discord is probably a good place to pop things in, but I'm not on Insta or Facebook at the moment. So apologies for that. But there are other ways of getting hold of me, and by all means, feed some information through if we're not talking about you. And if we haven't met, please do that. But that's a shame to lose Zach Hancock. He's one of the drivers that I would have liked to have known a little bit more about. He was leading that really well, and shame that he had that coming together with Christian.
Yeah, it is indeed, and otherwise a very cleanly executed reverse grid race, as you say. Gibson, meanwhile, versus Bugner. Gibson doing exactly
Nice.
what he would like to do as a DK Power driver there, running around the outside, and Lee Pearcey going for a run down the inside into turn 7. Can he pull it off? It would be a very impressive run to go from that far back. I think he's done it. He has. He's got that Aston out in front. The move not completely sealed just yet, though. We've seen already Bugner is very handy with a run around the outside here at Imola. He does relent for the time being, though. We've run through Piratella and into Akram and Arale, and it all looks to be settled. Gibson up into P5, though, so some more points going towards the DK Power squad, which is very impressive stuff. Smith going for even more points, as it seems, now up into second, just as it was in race 1 for Jack Smith. Plenty of drivers out in front, unfortunately, having a few issues, which means that he was promoted up the order. We've had that again this time. It's for P1 for Norse, P2 for Smith. We're going to have a battle for the lead, folks.
We are. This is going to be enthralling, isn't it? And I know Gabe had some very good starts last week. I'm not saying it was all the starts that got him the wins, by no means, because you've still got to drive a race. You've still got to be almost robotic in terms of the laps that you put in. But he's just the full package, as is Jack Smith. Andy Carroll in third. Going to be very interesting to see whether Andy can keep in touch with them. Obviously, Gabe Norse is BM as well. So is that going to be our fourth different BM driver on the podium? But Jack Smith closing right in on him at the moment and goes down the inside here. But of course, that converts to outside for the next corner. Jack's going to bear it out. Thought he might have maybe gone for the cut back there. Still side by side. How much room are they going to give each other? At the moment, it's okay. And Jack braves it out, holds on, but runs wide, a little bit too much more speed. Gabe Norse knows how to read the race well. But look at Andy Carroll coming into the mix now. The Aston Martin, the McLaren coming into the mix and getting involved. Are we going to get our first non-BMW on the podium here? Far too early to probably start speculating about that. But Andy Carroll, who's worked his way through in race 1 from the very back of the field and then gets put back again because he was, remember, in the reverse grid bit, and he was at in the bottom half of the reverse grid part, and he's worked his way up again. With some great driving and gifted a couple of places by drivers going off, but he's up in the mix. When they're not scrapping with each other, it looks like the two BMs are that much quicker than the McLaren. When they start getting embroiled with each other, and whether they've seen that and got the message, I don't know, but it might be advisable. I'm not saying that they're teammates or anything else. No, they're not gonna have a pact with each other. They are going to race. I thought they might have a pact with each other, get away, and then, of course, they're not allowed to talk to each other either in the regulations. But the sensible thing would maybe talk to each other between races and say, look, rather than squabble with each other, let's build a bit of a lead and then sort it out, because otherwise they do run the danger of Andy Carroll, Chris Blakey and Oliver Gibson getting involved with them.
They do indeed. They're still side by side as we head towards Tamburello now. Norse has the inside well defended against Jack Smith, who was positioning that car nicely to put pressure on Gabe up in front. Meanwhile, just behind is Andy Carroll, as you say, still keeping the two in front in check and actually near enough going side by side with Jack Smith. Goes for a run down the inside and completes the move through Villeneuve. It's into P2 for Andy Carroll. Fantastic stuff representing those McLarens well, but Smith says, no, sir, thank you very much. I'll have my position back. And we're still side by side, wheel to wheel, in fact. But Jack can't do anything from there. Has to settle for P3 for the time being. This is a huge tidal change in the momentum for this race weekend. And finally, someone has put a bit of a stop to Jack Smith in the racing this evening as we go on board to Scott Bugner now, who's enjoying his own battling. Gibson up in front in P5. Mason Turner just behind as well. We saw Mason Turner briefly at the start of race 1. Didn't see all that much from him afterwards, but great to see him still fighting for some points this evening.
Kieran Haynes trying to work his way up towards the podium that I know he wanted. He said he wanted, didn't he, in his interview with Reeve after race one. He's into ninth place. Robert Shepherd's in 10th. Super stuff from Robert Shepherd, assuming the timing tower is, just have a quick look down. Yeah, Robert Shepherd driving his socks off at the moment. And that's one we need to bear in mind is Robert Shepherd. I don't recall Robert being in the top 10. Not saying that he is going to, just having a quick look. No, he definitely didn't get a top 10 in the touring cars. So, you know, again, we're seeing drivers developing, getting more confidence, getting stuck in. Well done, Robert. Great to see you in the top 10, even if he doesn't finish there. He's made it there now. So super stuff from him. And one for us to bear in mind towards the end of the race is the big scrap, and it is a scrap going on for second position, gets a little bit physical. And Jack Smith, and now, of course, having been involved in that battle with Andy Carroll, has lost out to Gabe Norse, who, without anyone to battle with, can pop in those qualifying laps almost and get his head down. We'll see whether Jack Smith can close in. I think he's already started on that case. Andy Carroll still in third. Lee Pearcey busy trying to close in as well. So at the moment, the third place battle is McLaren versus Aston Martin. So quite an interesting tussle going on to try and be the leading non-BMW. We'll see how that pans out. But Smith's trying to close down and re-engage in battle with Gabe Norse, who of course wants to go one further up, having had 2 wins apiece so far. This is race 5 of the campaign. There is Lee Pearcey closing in, and we've already seen Lee do some good moves in this one. He's another driver that gets stuck in. So it's I was going to say a lot of VRRC old guard drivers here, but they're in a little bit of a new driver sarnie because we've got Mason Turner 7th and Gabe Norse in the race lead, but the ones in the middle very much seasoned Virtual Reality Racing Club drivers at the moment. Andy Carroll seems to be fending off the Aston Martin. I'm going to put Reeve on the spot now. Which is your favourite of the 3 models? I'm still going to stick with the McLaren.
I think, unfortunately, my BMW bias has to creep through here. And
how did I know you were going to say that?
Just you know, the classic straight 6 layout, and you know, I always love I always love a GT car, but in particular a GT car that looks a lot more like an adapted, more traditional road car than a sports car. Obviously, an M4 is a very capable machine. But something about, you know, I think back to the old Bentley GT3s, they were spectacular because you wouldn't expect a big luxury barge to be performing like it does. So yeah, it's the M4 for me. As I say, I think a number of drivers do seem to prefer it as well. I mean, the road version of it, the big buck teeth grille, doesn't work quite as well as it does on the racing variant. Of all people, my mum used to own an M3 of this generation, and I used to have to leave the house every morning and see the gopping just buck teeth just staring at you. It's hideous, but it works quite well on the race car, so I'll go with BMW.
Okay, very eloquently put, and a good argument. In the balloon debate, I'd be the one being thrown out, I think. Because I didn't make a case at all, but you made a very good one. I don't know if you ever did balloon debating, but anyway, it's still good battle on for third. Gabe Norse just still ahead of Jack Smith. Jack trying to close in. I think we've sorted out. It's the fastest lap in blue on my timing screen now. Just have a quick look. Best lap is, it is 1:42.358. So Jack Smith with the fastest lap. So, you know, again, Director Steve having to have eyes everywhere at the moment. And great. And with that, he delivers us the shot which shows both battles in one go. That's why he's doing the job that he's doing. Smith trying to close in. He may have had 7 seconds lead in race 1. This one he is 0.6 down. Fastest lap then again for Jack Smith. Crosses the line. Undoubtedly closing in. Obviously, if you're getting fastest lap, you're closing in on Gabe Norse, the race leader. But 2 distinct battles going on here. Oliver Gibson is Billy No Mates at the moment in 5th place. Scott Bugner is in 6th from Chris Blakey. We had a momentary look at Kieran Haynes and Mason Turner getting stuck in, with Ollie Atkins wrapping up our top 10. We don't have to pay heed to the top 15 in this one because it's the top 15 points that start in their order, or with the top scorers at the start, at the front of the next one. John Jones is into 15th place. He's made some progress in this one as well. Andy Dorman down in 17th. Josh Brennan is in 18th. Jacob Lander 19th from Sam Walton. And did we lose Christian Gillian? Yeah, I think he's maybe been in the pits with Zach Hancock's from the early one. Hopefully name checked everybody at some point in this race, but still the battle for third, the podium battle is good. I get the feeling that Lee Pearce is going to nick this one. I haven't written it down yet, but he's looking pretty happy at the minute and ready to have a go with still half the race remaining. And Jack Smith, you can see from that, he wants to get another double, if not a treble hit. Now remember, if they finish like this, Jack will still be the top point scorer from races 1 and 2. So that will plant him on pole. Gabe Norse's misfortune in race number 1 will mean that he's going to be, I don't know, what do we reckon? Second row, third row, fourth row of the grid, which he can still win from because he's very good at starts. He's very good at battling his way through. But Smith will have that advantage on points and with pole position at the moment as things stand for race 3.
Well, indeed, that'll make for a very interesting grid formation, I think, almost in some regards, as you say, based on how the points are allocated, a bit of a continuation as to the order that we're currently looking at, only with a number of rearrangements, shall we say. But Chris Blakey currently in 7th. It seems to be a little bit more settled than he was towards the end of the previous race, and at some point in this race as well. Isn't under too much pressure at the moment, but is trying to hunt down Scott Bugner, who's doing a really commendable job in P6, it must be said. This is a driver, I know we discussed it earlier on, Richard, who really wasn't a fan of the rear-wheel drive stuff and would always go for front-wheel drive whenever he could, even as recently as the previous championship. But seems to be really enjoying his time out in that M4 in P6 at the moment. So we go on board with Lee Pearcey in the Aston Martin. Interesting for racing enthusiasts, of course. This is probably the only McLaren versus Aston Martin battle that you're likely to see, especially outside of the world of Formula 1, because not much to be had there, really, based on performance. But Pearcey stays behind in the slipstream of Carroll as we run through Alta, dashing over those curves that you don't want to take too much of a bite out of. It's a big old sausage curb on the exit of Variante there to really catch you out and fling you towards the outside wall. Both drivers judging that to perfection as they run that down towards the Ravazzas, and really not too far apart. As you mentioned, Richard, two distinct battling duos here towards the second half of this race, but keeping the leaders in check, and those leaders are getting closer and closer, it looks like, according to the timing screen.
I think they are, yeah. Certainly evidenced by that fastest lap for Jack a couple of laps ago. Interesting. Well, I'll come to an interesting point in a minute, which I think is interesting, but nobody else will. We'll come back to it because we've got the challenge on for the lead, and I think it's done because Jack Smith's got his nose in front. Whether he can hang on to it or not remains to be seen. Runs very wide. You saw how much effort went into that and how he had to hang on to the car to maintain the lead. It was very much by the scruff of the neck, but here comes Gabe Norse back down the inside. This is what we want to see, the top two in the championship going wheel to wheel and showing their racing credentials. And again, look how this is pulling the third and fourth place drivers back into it. It's almost a repeat of what we had earlier on in the race. Now, will we see the McLaren get involved, be a spoiler and force the second place car, whoever it might be, drop back? They're still side by side. They've got no protocol between themselves at all. Gabe Norse gets the lead back. This is great racing by Jack Smith and Gabe Norse. Exactly what we want to see. And also the other two cars coming up into the mix as well. Now we get to look back from Gabe Norse and Jack Smith's gone wide, loses out there. Goodness me, is that going to be race over for Jack Smith? Well, we've still got a third of the race to go. But Andy Carroll now finds himself in P2 and is challenging Gabe Norse. But without Gabe having someone to battle with, is that effectively game over for the moment for the McLaren and the chasing Aston Martin? The two brothers are virtually together. Now, are they going to work together to try and close in? So Gabe Norse has got a different battle on his hands now. But Gabe comes out of that. I didn't clock how that happened, that he went off, but I'm sure it wasn't contact, just pure racing between the pair of them, and Gabe Norse gets the better of that one.
He does indeed, yeah. Brief reprieve from battling swiftly resumes, though, doesn't it? As Carroll closes right on up in that slipstream, says, now's my chance for the race lead. Already gunning for the outside at Tamburello. Jack Smith under pressure from Gibson as well. They're enjoying their own battling, but not too far of a distance at all between Carroll and Norse.
Oh.
Lee Pearcey laying in waiting. Gibson off. Gibson into the gravel on the exit of Tamburello. Disaster. That is going to be a long old wait to get that car back out on track. It'll be very difficult to do that as well. he'll lose plenty of time. What a terrible shame for Oliver Gibson. We've got a great shot of the rear wing of Carroll there as we see Piercy gunning for a run around the outside through turn 7. Can't do anything from there, though. You run out of track before you hit Piratella, and Carroll hangs on to P7. Norse still clinging on to this race lead, and there, as you mentioned, Richard, it all comes into this kind of team player dynamics, even though these aren't on teams, on the same team, so to speak. Norse might be thinking, hang on, Carroll might be working with Piercy here, or rather Carroll and Piercy might be hurting each other and bringing Jack Smith right back into it.
Yeah, I think he is, isn't he? Now he's going to have a little stab at Lee Piercy here. I'm going to point out that sports car, this is not really an accurate reflection, because sports car racing normally isn't this exciting.
No.
hence I don't commentate on it in the real world very often. Having said that, I'm doing some endurance racing commentary at the weekend with the Fun Cup, which very, very much is like this a lot of the time, with very evenly matched machine and some fantastic drivers. But I can't recall the last time we'd seen a battle like this in British GT, particularly with the variation of cars and drivers that we've got. They do put in some, it's a different dynamic, of course, so I'm probably not making a relevant comparison. But Gabe Norse, after that brief worry from Andy Carroll, seems to have got his head down and is pulling away now. I'm not saying that Carroll's finished, but he's going to be looking in his mirrors to see Jack Smith to a certain extent, and Jack will be keen to get back into P2 and maybe have another nibble at the race lead by the end of the race. Whatever you throw at Jack Smith, he'll drop back, but he seems to come back in again. But Gabe Norse just seems to have a cool head to keep the lead. When he lost it, he managed to get back in front. And again, that's what makes this such a classic battle between the pair of them. And Andy Carroll has really been the joker in the pack in this one as well. You've got to say maybe punching above his weight in that car, where we've seen the BMWs be dominant so far, and the McLaren doing, really good business, as too is Lee Piercy in the Aston, back in 4th place. Scott Bugner in the BMW is 5th. Chris Blakey in his Aston in 6th position as well. And then Oliver Gibson BMW managed to recover. Ollie Atkins 8th from Mason Turner and Kieran Haynes in 10th. 11th is Jack Dickerson. 12th Jack Angel from Rich Hayden. Andy Dorman, Sam Gumley. Robert Shepherd 16th. Dropped back a couple of places. He was 12th last time we looked. Sam Walton 17th from Jacob Lander 18th, still running well, as is John Jones, Josh Brennan, Christian Gillian and Zach Hancock, having those early problems. So interesting to just have a quick look down the field to let you know that we hadn't forgotten everybody. And now, of course, focusing on the Mason Turner, etc. battle.
We are indeed. So, yeah, battles throughout the field in this one. Atkins and Haynes, the other protagonists in this trio here, as we run down towards the Revattas. Atkins seems to have a bit of a breakaway for the time being, but as we know, Revatta's a bit of a, to quote another rather famous commentator, an opportunity for a concertina effect, isn't it? As you run through the Revattas. Side by side, though, Jack Smith and Andy Carroll. Jack has the inside into Tamburello, manages to psych out his opponent. No big contact between the two. It wasn't bullying or anything like that. It was just hard racing, which is what we like to see. And Smith gets up into P2. Carroll settles for P3. I am sure will be quite pleased with how this is going, though. Even if it is P3 that he settles for, he'll be really, I'm sure, intrigued by how this race has panned out. I hope that we do get the chance to chat with him after this one. Lee Piercy still in the mix here as well. So after all of this battling, North Smith, Carroll and Piercy still leading the charge quite comfortably in this race and really putting on commanding drives. So we have just over 5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, and also be pleased with the points with this one. He'll, I think, equally be pleased with 8th position as a recovery in race number 1, as Chris Blakey decides to go for the drifting championship, lights up the tyres and manages to have a little spin around. Is that going to see Ollie Atkins and company go past him? North still the leader, 1.3 to Jack Smith, who is going to try and close down. We've still got 6 minutes left, so we could get another lead battle. And Andy Carroll again, still staying with them, broken clear a little bit of Lee Piercy. Those 4, you would say, are most likely at the moment to remain top 4, because Scott Bugner is a little way down. We're going to have to wait before we get our first podium chat with Scott Bugner in this series, but certainly running better than he did last week. If we have a look, how far back is Scott? He's not even coming into shot yet, as Andy Carroll continues on his way. Whether Andy will be, again, it'd be interesting to get the perspective from Andy Carroll as to how much not racing last week made a difference to him, and whether he gets that. You always get the impression that the drivers that have to go out to work for a living, dare I say, the more mature drivers probably get less time on the sim than some of the youngsters. Because if you're coming in from school or college, once you've got your homework out of the way, then the whole evening's free. But people of, slightly, non-school or non-educational drivers aren't going to get the same sort of time. So in that instance, for the likes of Andy Carroll, race time and seat time, therefore, is going to be very much more important to them. As we head back to Blakey, Atkins and Kieran Haynes. Oliver Gibson now down to 9th, Mason Turner, so he's sort of splitting the Atkins, Haynes and Turner battle at the moment. Very close there. I mean, 5 cars all in shot having a go, largely because of the opposite lock moment and the tyre burnout we saw from Chris Blakey. But Chris still in 6th position, but that will have lost him time on Scott Bugner in P5 up ahead of him. Lights on, which is really bothering no one, but the Swift Cooper boys are giving him a good workout for sure. 4 minutes 12 to go. Gabe North still out front. Jack Smith in 2nd, Andy Carroll in 3rd, and with some good mid-order battles going on right the way down the order.
There are indeed, Richard. Thank you for giving me a racing driver excuse there in terms of the job, meaning that the practice can't quite come in. I'll use that one in future. Although plaudits definitely go to all of those students who are, dealing with exams, etc. at this time. Maybe they're finished now, but obviously trying to balance racing with that is very tough indeed. As we see plenty of balance being pulled off in this fantastic battle. Oliver Atkins gets out in front there, but Blakey is in it to the wall, spins around with a bit more success this time, does a 360 in the end. Unfortunately, it was with a wall assist, so his car won't be very happy at the end of this one. As we see Jack Smith has a look around the outside into the entry into Villeneuve. Can't do anything from there just yet, so stays behind. Carroll is right on the scene as well. Your top 3 in this race covered by much less than a second, which is mighty impressive after 27 minutes worth of racing. No one has relented in the slightest. A commendable job from everyone involved. Carroll just kind of...
Sorry, Rio, I was just going to say, this is, you don't expect this in GT racing, do you? It's amazing, and particularly from Carroll, who's stayed with him. One would have expected he might have dropped back once the 2 BMWs were 1st and 2nd again, but maybe the tyre wear on the McLaren comes into play in the later stages. But North's under pressure again. And I thought it was game over because Gabe had a terrific lead. We know that it was the fastest lap in race number 1 to Jack Smith, and he's got it again in this one, and he's putting pressure on. He's got time to do it, but only just 2 minutes 30 if he times it right. And here comes the move. He's on the outside run. Is he going to go for the cutback here? Let's see whether he can. Again, we see the pair of them. He's just trying to slot his way down the inside. Can't quite get the momentum going as they come back onto the home straight. And they've got to be mindful of Andy Carroll here as well, who could upset the party again. Carroll 2 or 3 lengths down as the lead pair go across the line, virtually side by side. Now they are. Jack Smith's got his nose in front. Here comes Carroll. Is he going to be able to nip past Norse while he's in 2nd position? They're all jostling. Norse tries to block, then goes for the pass again. I think there was a little touch maybe on the back end of the car. There was a big touch there from Andy Carroll, and it's game over. We're not going to talk to Carroll on the podium. Smith back in front. Norse in 2nd position, and Lee Pearcey now brings his Aston up into 3rd place. Andy Carroll, I think, has, I was going to say recovered, but Scott Bugner's come up into, all of a sudden, Scott Bugner's not that far away from a podium. But hard lines to Andy Carroll. They were all a little bit too frantic and a little bit too close there.
They were, unfortunately, but what an utterly scintillating battle. I must say, that properly hooked me in there. Brilliant stuff. Smith versus North there. You'd rather get the sense that Smith's got ever so slightly quicker in that straight line as they had that drag race, and that can be down to even something simple as tiny setup tweaks, even something as different as tyre pressures will make all the difference even in a straight line. It all comes down to those fine little changes, fine little details, but Smith taking the race lead. What a shame, though, for Andy Carroll. An otherwise beautifully executed race, really putting on a show for us and representing those McLaren drivers well. Unfortunately, as you say, Richard, will not be in with a shout of chatting with us on the podium later on. Smith versus North then. This promotes Lee Pearcey into P3, by the way. Remember when I said, Lee might be just hanging back, laying in waiting? Well, here we go, folks. He might have been rewarded for that. He's got a nice big gap to the cars behind him. He's got a fair gap to the cars in front as well, so he doesn't have to worry too much. He can just kind of make sure he keeps that rhythm up and settles into P3. Smith then taking race lead in this one for the Hopcavern liveried car there. I did call back and do that important research from earlier on. It's only a 2-hour drive up the M62 for myself, so it's very accessible. If I set off before kind of 6 p.m, I'm well within a shout of getting there before the end of the stream next time.
That sounds like a plan, doesn't it? Not bad for a night out. 2 seconds on the clock, so we're on the last lap while we're discussing how we do future rounds, and maybe we could get you co-commentating from the Hopcavern. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? You can commentate from anywhere on these. Gabe Norse, though, doesn't want any early celebrations at the moment because he's still chasing Jack Smith over the final few corners of this one. I think we're going to get our first chat with Lee Pearcey on the podium since the Formula Ford Championship. With Scott Bugner still in 4th, Andy Carroll in 5th from Oliver Gibson. And this is the view from the second place driver. Gabe Norse now trying to give it back to Jack Smith, but it looks like Jack Smith could be on for the double.
It does indeed, and I think well deserved. But we could say well deserved to literally everyone in at least the top 5, if not more. What a show they've put on for race 2, and we've still got more racing to go this evening. Of course, our sprint racing kicks off after the break and the interviews that we'll have in a few moments' time. But Norse not giving up until the very end here. That much is clear as we head down into the Ravatas, less than half a second.
Yeah, all good, close stuff. But Jack Smith is going to be delighted with this one. Is it going to be 2-1 each? Was it 2-1 last week to Norse? Is it going to be 2-1 to Smith this one? He's going to take this one and he's getting his second one in the bag. It's 2 consecutive race wins, which Gabe didn't do last week. But the checkered flag is out, and it is a win for Jack Smith from Gabe Norse. Lee Pearcey gets his first podium for over a campaign, believe it or not. That is a hard stat to believe, but he's back on the podium, is Lee Pearcey. Scott Bugner is in 4th place. There is Scott from Andy Carroll. And so Andy recovered well for 5th. Oliver Gibson in 6th place. Ollie Atkins will be next. There is Ollie in 7th, ahead of Kieran Haynes, with Mason Turner in 9th. Andy Dorman in 10th. Again, Andy was sort of kind of up battling with podium drivers in the earlier race. Jack Angel's going to be 11th, so decent drive there from Jack. Rich Hayden 12th. From 13th, Jack Dickerson. On the timing screens, we talked Sam Walton, Sam Gumbly, Robert Shepherd 16th after running in the top 10. Well done, Robert. That was a very good effort early on. And indeed was in the top 12 for much of the race as well. Jacob Lander in 17th from John Jones, Josh Brennan, and as we said, we had problems for Christian Gillian and Zach Hancock, our early race leaders who entertained us royally with everybody else in that one. And we'll catch up with our top 3, Messrs Norse, Smith and Pearce, in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back. So podium time, and Lee Pearcey was 3rd. And so we're talking to different drivers. I'm going to get Reeve to have a chat with Lee. So well done, Lee, and away you go, Reeve.
Thank you very much, Richard, and congratulations, Lee Pearcey. Great to chat to you on the podium, first podium of the evening. How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. Yeah, it's just stayed out of trouble, and the podium came to me rather than me chasing the podium, I think, in that one, but we'll take it. So yeah, it was a good race. I think there was a battle between sort of 4 or 6 of us at one point. So yeah, it was a enjoyable race, that one.
Yeah, so I mean, I couldn't have summarised that better myself. Really, you nailed that to a T. You could kind of see in those battles that we saw going race long. So top marks to all of you drivers, really, for putting on a show for us that entire time. You were always there or thereabouts, but just kind of, as I put it, laying in waiting, just a few car lengths back, and maybe kind of going for that option of, you know, something could happen here at Imola. It's an unforgiving circuit, and as you say, that was exactly the case, and you've got that podium. Is that, I imagine, a bit of a confidence booster for yourself, and maybe something that you're looking to continue on into the rest of the season? Currently 5th in the standings heading into this round, but so very much within the mix as we head into the likes of Spa and COTA and even the special events as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think kind of, yeah, you're right in the way I sort of approach the race, because the Aston Martin compared to the other two cars, we can kind of match the lap times around this track, but at the real slow corners, the Aston just doesn't got the legs on the other two cars. So if you end up in front of them in them places, you are a sitting duck. So I thought I'll just try and hang on in there, don't do nothing silly, and see what happens. And that's kind of what we did. At one point, Jack was behind me, and I knew he had the pace, so I just let him back through and thought I'll just tag back on the back of him, and hopefully they'll start mixing it again, and I'll be back in with it. But yeah, annoyingly, race one I was running fifth and run out of fuel, so that was. So it was a user error, my own fault, but yeah, so it's a shame really, but I take that. So that was podium from, I think I was third last on the grid in that one, so I'll take that.
Yeah, that is a mega drive, and it's the type of thing obviously that we bring into consideration for the elusive driver of the round award that will be dished out later on. Interesting to kind of get a few thoughts on the Aston from yourself as well, because it adds a bit of variation into the podiums this evening, in the fact that we've actually got an Aston on the podium, because the Beamers have done very well overall so far, but nice to see those V8 Astons out on track, as you say. Might be a thirsty thing, as you found out in race one, but any kind of tracks in particular that you're hoping to show what it can do for the rest of the season?
No, I think now we're learning the car, and I think realising now any of the fast flowing tracks, I think we might be a bit more of a shout. Unfortunately, round one it was really using its front tyres, so we've we was quick through the fast bits, but still wasn't quite perfect. So we need to find a track where we can beat these BMs, and we'll keep trying.
I'm sure you will, and you're doing a very good job of it so far, Lee Piercy. Congratulations on a podium this evening. Hopefully, you're gonna have some more fun out in the sprint race coming up next.
Certainly try. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Well done. Thanks, Reeve, as well. And Reeve's probably thinking, what is Richard talking about with which interviews we're going to do? Because I messed up, because I said 1 and 3, and so that we'd spoke to different drivers, but totally loused up. So he gets to talk to Jack Smith again, but I get to talk to Gabe Norse, who takes second position. Gabe, what a fantastic, entertaining race you gave us. Congratulations on that one. What was your experience of it, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty decent race. I managed to get to the front quite quickly, and then it's kind of just a battle with Jack. And to be honest, I was just trying to back him up into everyone to see if he could drop a few positions to just kind of relieve the pressure a bit. But I mean, he just was always there, and then managed to get me at the end, and I made a little bit of a mistake. So
it worked the first time, didn't it? Because obviously we had Andy Carroll coming up into the mix as well, and once Andy got in front, I think Andy's had some decent pace this evening. It's his first event of this campaign, but yeah, the first time it did work, and he managed to sort of break free.
Yeah, it was quite good, because I managed to just kind of get Jack to, or kind of get Andy to overtake Jack, and I mean, I was just able to kind of build a slight gap until Jack inevitably got back past and caught back up.
It looked quite physical. I mean, it wasn't lots of virtual panel bashing, but I think you two raced together really well. Given how closely matched you are, and it is a very close battle between the pair of you. And would you echo that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that we're quite close, but I think around here he's kind of shown my weaknesses a little bit with how quick he is, and maybe my setup building weaknesses, because I am quite dreadful at that at the moment.
Well, if that's a bad one, I dread to think what good one's like, and I know we keep seeing good stuff from you. Last time we spoke, I think you'd just wrapped up our previous championship in the touring cars, and you were saying that we might not see you because of exams. How's all that going?
Yeah, it's going all right. I mean, I managed to do this championship because only one of the rounds I had exams after, and that was last round. So
right
now I'm kind of clear for being able to do this.
That's good. Well, it's great news for us. Probably not good news for Jack Smith, because it means that you can drop your properly bad rounds. But always a treat to see you racing, Gabe. So very well done, and good luck for the third race, and keep the entertainment going for us, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much and well done. Let's go to Reeve with a second chat with Jack.
Thank you very much, Richard, and do feel free to interject if we are getting close on time. I've got one eye on that schedule. But congratulations, Jack Smith, once again. Lovely to chat to you. Another race victory, and I think one where your wishes were answered a little bit. You were saying after race 1, I was ready for a bit more of a fight. I think you got that, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely a bit more of a fight. Trying to get, but I feel like Gabe was just defending for his life. It was just every single corner, white line in it, and I just couldn't. I think when someone does that, it's just really hard to try and work your way around it. There's no way you can get up the inside if they do that. It's just, you just got to commit to the outside or hope that you get in front of them before the next corner, and you just got to run out of the final corner every time. My slipstream kicked in just halfway down the straight, and then by the time we get to the corner, we're just side by side. So it never really worked. But I noticed on the final corner, that was the one corner he didn't go tight on. So I just sent one down the inside. It slowed him down. We were then side by side, and I got in front. And then got a little bit of a lub tap from behind, which sent me on straight, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, we got back in front and sailed away. And then I, for some reason, thought the race had ended one lap before the end, so I lifted off thinking the race had ended. Looked up and there was 20 seconds on the clock. I was like, oh no, put my foot down. And then he was on my tail again. And I was like, oh jeez, I nearly lost that because of that silly mistake. But just silly stuff from me there. But yeah, no, super happy with how it's come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a little bit like little throttle there. I think it just adds to the spectacle for us. So thank you, Jack, for that one. I imagine a very different race to what you had in race 1, where you were just kind of cruising along. It seemed you did have that aero damage in race 1. I'm sure with a bit of taps here and there, you probably needed a visit to the body shop after race 2 as well. But you not only had trying to find a way past Norse as well, but through various points you had the likes of Andy Carroll on the scene as well in that McLaren. Were you kind of more focused on going for that lead, or were you just trying to make sure that you were hanging on to a podium?
I was managing both. I did think we'd have a bit more pace whilst we were battling, but I think Andy was just, he's Mr. Calculated. He works out all the spreadsheets, he knows the strategies, he's all over it when he sees two people battling in front of him. So, I think Andy was always going to be in the equation in that one. I'm not really sure what happened to him at the end, because I thought he'd be right behind me, but I can only it was just great from him to get involved, and I think it added to it. It frustrated me a little bit, but at the end of it looked really good. I'm sure it looked really good on stream.
It will indeed. So there's a bit of a promo for everyone. I mean, everyone's already watching, but anyone who might be thinking of watching back, there you go. Race 2 is one to go for. Just a quick last one, Jack, before I let you get ready to go racing once again. Looking forward to the sprint then. Any kind of change in mindset? What are your hopes for this sprint? Obviously, you're going to be higher up the order, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Low fuel. We'll see what we can do, and just hope to get a decent start, pull away, and just get our heads down really. We'll see what we can do. We've got Ollie alongside, which is good. So we got a front row lockout. I think that's quality. We'll see what we can do. Brief, but just got to focus, get our heads down, as if it's any other race really.
Well, congratulations, Jack, on race 2 victory. I'll let you get to the grid, ready to go racing once again. And as I say, congratulations.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well done, Jack. Thank you, Reeve, for doing the honours there. And it is, for some reason, I hadn't read the script and I was busy looking to see who was 15th on the points, and then suddenly remembered it's not a reverse grid, it's the fastest boys off the front. Despite telling everyone that all evening and then totally forget it when we get into the race. So Smith and Gibson on the front row, Gabe Norse and Kieran Haynes. Kieran scored well, so he lines up P4. Andy Carroll 5th, could have been further up, couldn't he, if he hadn't have had that little tap on the back in the previous one. Ollie Atkins 6th from Scott Bugner. Lee Piercy 8th, Rich Hayden 9th. So Rich has made it into the top 10 on points this evening. As has Mason Turner. 11th is Sam Walton, then Jack Dickerson and Chris Blakey. Jack Angel 14th from Andy Dorman. Christian Gillian 16th on the grid, and he's followed by Sam Gumbley, Jacob Lander, Robert Shepherd 19th from Zach Hancock's, then John Jones and Josh Brennan in 22nd. So that's how they have qualified over the 2 races that we've had. A good evening's racing so far, and about to conclude with our sprint race. Really great idea that where you got the fastest guys off the front, it's a shorter race. Works out really well, really neat. I'll tell you what, Rich has really thought about this, Rich Hayden. And the drivers are thinking about what they're going to do. Off the start and ready. And it is a super start there by Jack Smith. Got away better than Ollie, who's going to tuck into that second position unless Gabe Norse can come through. And Gabe's just trying to get the overlap to try and get up into second place, but he can't quite do it. Andy Carroll in the mix as well, trying to come through. We've got a good battle on between the top four. And there is quite a lot of contact showing on the screen at the moment. But look at this, Jack Smith is away and down the road already. Are we going to get... Now, I'm going to have to look at the results to see when the last time we had a hat-trick was. Very early days to be talking about that one, as Gabe Norse wants to try and deal with Oliver Gibson, but that doesn't work because he's got Andy Carroll up his inside, and following Andy Carroll is Ollie Atkins. So Gabe Norse hasn't really had the start that he wanted, but you heard from him that, yeah, he's not quite got the setup on this car nailed yet, so I'm sure he will do for the future rounds, but when he does... we're going to see some even better battles as he tries to get back into third position on the inside of Andy Carroll, which is going to convert to the outside now. And he can't quite do it. And in fact, loses out to Ollie Atkins as well. Atkins read that well, still side by side with Gabe Norse. They're still battling hard. This is good news for the McLaren driver. So it's a pair of BMs, and again, the McLaren in third place hanging on, rattles the curbs. And Gabe Norse is not in the position he wanted to be in here, Reeve.
No, he certainly isn't. As we go three wide on the exit of Variante Alta, Bugner versus Piercy versus Atkins. They think better of it, thankfully, and move into the normal formation. Bugner having a run down the inside lace on the brakes. Will it work? It has. Bugner up into P5. What a move. Lee Piercy, meanwhile, loses out for the second Ravazza, settles for P8 for the time being. Hats off Bugner throughout this evening. He's put on some fantastic overtakes, and I think really does have to be in contention for that elusive DOTR award at some point this evening. Jack Smith, meanwhile, out in front, building up a bit of a gap. But great to see Andy Carroll back in on the mix as well, as he's seeking redemption, I think, from race two. There's a bit of side-to-side contact there between Piercy and Atkins. Piercy having to relent in that one. Had a look down the inside. There wasn't enough room, unfortunately, so Lee settles for P8. But yeah, I think Carroll will be spurred on by this and looking for a few more points, because otherwise a very well-executed race in race two certainly have the chops for a podium. A few drivers going a little bit wide at Villeneuve, but they all get back on tarmac in a less than dramatic fashion, which is what we like to see.
Yeah, starting to settle down now, isn't it? This is that sort of opening phase almost done now as we approach the 4-minute mark. So very nearly quarter distance already by the time they settle down. And it's Smith, Gibson, Carroll, Norse, Bugner. Yeah, super move as you described, Reeve, with Kieran Haynes now battling hard with him. And Bugner, has he had a problem? He's disappearing down the timing screen. Bugner there, that's disappointing. So Haynes in fourth place now from Ollie Atkins as Andy Carroll goes through. We are definitely due an Andy Carroll podium, as we were due a Lee Piercy podium in that previous one. I cannot believe we went through the whole of the touring car season without talking to Lee Piercy on the podium. That's how competitive this championship has got now, or this club has got.
Exactly. Sorry.
Andy Dorman. Yep. Sorry, mate. Yeah, Jack Angel in the top 10. So Jack's made some progress here, chasing Andy Dorman. But Jack Smith out front by 7/10 from Oliver Gibson. Ollie will be delighted if he can bag another podium. There he is in P2 at the moment, and his brother up ahead. I can't remember the last time we had a hat-trick. I'm just looking through because I've got these things kind of written out for relative ease. We've had quite a few drivers bagging double wins over the course of rounds. I don't think we've had one so far this year. I'm just having a quick look down. No, in actual fact, we haven't. So we've had three series so far. Is it too early to talk about hat-tricks, Reeve? What do you reckon?
I certainly don't think we can rule it out. Jack Smith has, obviously we saw him embroiled in battle and certainly with plenty of challenges in race two, but we've also seen what he can do in race one when he was released effectively and was just able to crack on, get into a rhythm and go for it. The difference here in race three, obviously, shorter race and lower fuel, as Jack very helpfully pointed out in the post-race two interview there. The other difference is he's got Oliver Gibson right behind him, and it seems to be on a charge. Gibson sort of eliminated in race one, but very much on the scene here in race two. That gap's currently a second, so it's slightly built up, but I certainly don't think you can count out Oliver in this one. But Jack Smith, he's looking good. I'm not a betting man. I don't do odds or anything like that. But I'd say the probabilities are looking fairly good for him.
I think they are. Now, you've probably heard, I don't know if you can hear, I've been rattling paper and having a look through just to see whether we have had a hat-trick recently. We had 3 on the bounce with Charlie Devlin in the Scottish Legends Cars Esports series that we had at the... was that the start of the year or the tail end of last year? It was the run up towards Christmas, wasn't it, last year? But he didn't get 3 at the same venue. And I've looked all the way back through 2025, and we had a bunch of series where we were just having 2 longer races rather than 3. So we're in sort of new territory here with Jack Smith. I'm sure we have had a hat trick before where we've had the 3 race format, but I think we're going to have to go back a while. But yeah, Jack and the Hop Cavern people are probably saying, no, don't start talking about this because it's akin to writing it down before it's actually confirmed, isn't it? So, but Jack is second to the good over Ollie at the moment, and could possibly be on for the hat trick. And of course, if he gets it, it's just going to spur the likes of Gabe Norse on in other rounds to maybe get 2 of them on the bounce, 2 hat tricks on the bounce, and you wouldn't put that past the likes of Gabe Norse either. As we ride on board with him, trying to close down on the 3rd place car at the moment. Andy Carroll is, to my mind, a driver that we should have seen on the podium so far this evening, but it hasn't happened for him. But he still scored well. I mean, he started up the front. But if he gets a podium here, he's going to have to earn it because he's got the man who leads the championship or led the championship coming into this round looming large in his mirrors.
He is indeed very much in agreement with you there, Rich, fully deserving of a podium and really dragging that McLaren around. I say dragging around like it's a slow car. It's one of the quicker, very capable cars here at Imola, but great to see it being represented at the top end of the field. As well, Norse will be a fierce opponent. As I say, maybe the top end on that McLaren is pretty strong, but that M4 seems to be very aerodynamically efficient, so does well in the slipstream, does well when it breaks the slipstream as well, still seems to have a good turn of pace from that 3-litre straight 6 as we go side by side through Tamburello. Norse looking poised too, but there's a tag front to rear there, and there is Andy Carroll in the gravel at the start of a lap at Imola once again. What a shame. Happened in race 2 and race 3. We are robbed potentially of an Andy Carroll podium. What a shame there for a driver has been doing an otherwise immense job. We go back on board then with Oliver Gibson still hunting down and keeping Jack Smith in check.
He is actually, isn't he? Yeah, it's just under a second, as you can see from the timing screen. So great performance here from Ollie. Jack Smith will, no doubt be looking in the virtual rear mirrors and see that Gabe Norse is a fair way back, so probably won't be worried, but he will want to beat Ollie. He won't gift Ollie a win by any stretch of the imaginations because he knows the likes of Norse in the championship. He needs every single point that he can get. Lee Pearcey making progress once again. I didn't realise that Lee had come that far forward like Scott Bugner and Andy Carroll did in race 1. He did it in race 2, didn't he, with the running out of fuel thing, which is a thing you hear a lot actually in the real world as well. Drivers that don't put enough in, and particularly with it can come into play with long safety car interventions. That's obviously something thankfully we don't have here in the virtual world, but it is an easy calculation to I was going to say get wrong, but I suppose that is what I'm saying. It's an easy miscalculation to make. As Oliver Gibson now gets the fastest, Reeve, I think you spotted something there. He's very much gunning for it. Having said that, though, the gap's gone out a little bit, so the last lap was quicker. Although now he's got it down. Again, depends where you are on the track. Oh, yeah, 0.8 of a second, so he's definitely closing up. Is Oliver Gibson, though, if he gets close enough, is he going to have a go at Jack Smith? Well, he's got to, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think absolutely, you nail on the head there. Absolutely, he has to. We saw that in the touring car action that the Gibson versus Smith rivalry did play out, and it played out to I imagine some people's surprise there in the end. And I hope we do get to see this continue on. You make a very good point though about kind of getting the fuel load right and all that. One thing to kind of consider in the world of sim racing is seldom do you have a team of engineers or anything like that behind you doing it for you. You've got to think about the driving, you've got to think about the fueling, you've got to pull off the fueling, so make sure you've bound the right button, and you've got to think about all that sort of thing. Got to do those calculations where maybe in quite a lot of series, the drive themselves wouldn't necessarily be doing that. So lot to think about for these guys, and it's something that I've never quite nailed, as we see Gibson running through Variante Alta there, back end kicking out a little bit. That's cost him a tiny fraction of time there, about 10th or so of a second, running down through the Ravata though. He can be a little bit bold, go late on the brakes to try and claw back some of that time, but Gibson playing it safe at the moment and just hanging on to that P2. It's a strategy that worked well for Lee Pearce in the end, so maybe Gibson seeing that and thinking that could be a shout, although it'll be a tough gig to try and bet on Jack Smith making a big mistake when he's out in front leading comfortably at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Very, very definitely a regular front runner, regular championship winner with this, although remember Gabe Norse is the reigning champion. Never actually caught up with Jack and found out what the deal was with the last round. I think he was testing at was it Alton Park, or was he testing at Alton Park, and had to get across to the other side of the country from his testing duties with Century Motorsport and couldn't make it for that last round. But we kept having a look and seeing whether he was going to turn up. But didn't quite make it, so maybe that's a talking point for this one. I'm not sure whether Jack squared that one off as well. Jack Oliphant last time out probably didn't, because he probably wasn't aware of what the situation was at the end of the last series. Jack's done, isn't he? I was looking at the commentary schedule. He's done for this one as well, unless someone throws a sickie, which is a little bit of a pity. But we've got a nice pool of people to work with now on the commentary side.
Oh, I think there's Gillian in the background there, potentially spinning around. It is, yeah, what a shame for him. Yeah, as you say, shame we're not going to see much more of Jack this season, unless, I don't know, my BMW decides to throw off a coolant hose again, which I've preemptively replaced more after that instant now, so we're all good. Should be able to make it back home from work this time.
Yeah, well, I hope you do. Becky stood in for you last time, didn't she? I don't know if Becky's
very
watching.
kindly.
If Becky is watching, we're going. Oh, what is it with Blakey and drifting? Are we going to do a virtual reality racing club drifting championship? Count me out of the commentary on that if you do. But
that's actually what DOTR stands for this round. It's drifter of the round. And I think, Chris Blakey deserves that one, I think, quite clearly. He's now behind Scott Bugner, so he's managed to still maintain some good race pace despite that. Kieran Haynes, meanwhile, up in P4, obviously successes earlier on in the evening, and now fancies a chance for the battle against Norse, which should be very interesting indeed. Norse maybe not quite where he'd want to be in this sprint race, but still within a shout of a podium, and even if that doesn't happen, he'll have a great battle in settling for P4 if that is the case. As I say, PAC at the moment in P6, a bit of a surprise podium for himself in that previous race as he tries to find a way around Ollie Atkins, which, if I'm not mistaken, was something he was trying to do for a lot of race one as well.
He was. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm just looking at the chat now, and I don't know if Becky's watching. Feel free to stick something in the Discord chat with us. But I think it looks like the DOTR is going the way that Reeve and Steve have come up with, which I wholeheartedly. Well, not wholeheartedly, because I suggested somebody else, but I agree with. I see their reasoning, and I'm definitely happy to go with that if things stay the way they are at the moment. And we won't tell you who the driver is, but he's still in the points. Well, they're all in the points, are they? So I'm not really saying a lot with dobbing that one.
You are correct, absolutely correct there.
Right, what happened to Gibson there? So Kieran Haynes third now. Is that the timing screen? No, he's having a go. Here he comes.
Yeah, side by side around the outside is Gibson there. Oh, bit of contact into Ravata there. We've been pretty clean of that so far this evening. Atkins, unfortunately, off and into the gravel, but Piercy seizes an opportunity through the second Ravata, takes the position. Lee Piercy up into P4. Gibson, though, with that M4 straight line speed, is going to try and claw it back. Great side by side action now. A drag race ensues in the run up towards that first corner. Well, second corner technically, but first proper corner. Tamburello here at Imola, defending the inside is Gibson, but settling in to that P4 position, I assume. Haynes, meanwhile, up into P3, trying to bring challenge, as I say, to Gabriel Norse, but at the moment is settling into that third place.
Kieran was driver of the round last time. We've got the I was going to be alliterative and say boring BMW podium again, BBs, but it's far from boring when you've got Kieran Haynes challenging Gabe Norse, and where we had the fantastic race between Jack Smith and Gabe Norse in race number 2 as well. So they've given us some super entertainment. Statistically, people go, where are the other cars? Well, here's the answer to that, because it's the Aston of Lee Pearcey making the move and going for it down the inside, which very nearly puts in reaction Oliver Gibson off, but Lee Pearcey can't quite do it. But I think, Lee's put himself in the frame for DOTR as well here with the driver in race 2. Can't really give him driver of the round for not fueling correctly though, can we?
No, that is an unfortunate. I mean, it's probably such an easy mistake to make. As I say, it's something I've always been scared of. So I've always overfueled the car. But Jack Smith then navigating Ravazza for one last time seems to be very, very comfortable indeed in this race lead.
He does, yeah. Super job then for Jack Smith, who makes it a hat-trick. It's been a long while. I don't think I've done a hat-trick commentary before, so maybe a first for me. Second position to Gabe Norse. Well done, Gabe, and well done to Jack, of course, on winning. And Kieran Haynes, who will take that third position. So well done, Kieran. Super job for him, getting on the podium twice, backing up driver of the round last week. It's going to be Oliver Gibson in 4th. Lee Pearcey, 5th position from Ollie Atkins. Andy Carroll, 7th. Andy Dorman in 8th place from Chris Blakey. Sam Gumbley, I think, coming through next. Let's just refresh the screen and see if we've got both in sync. We have. So Sam Gumbley, 10th. Scott Bugner, just outside the top 10. 11th from Rich Hayden. And John Jones. Jack Dickerson is behind him at the moment from Mason Turner. Christian Gillian. Jack Angel, 17th from Robert Shepherd, who again was running strongly that one, up in 12th at one stage. Jacob Lander in 19th from Zach Hancocks, and Josh Brennan with Sam Walton, the 22nd name on the list. That concludes our racing action. We've still got 3, possibly 4 more interviews to come. If you're a driver, don't log off, because you might be driver of the round as we get some celebratory throwing round of cars. Can't see that they're donuts, but we'll be back, Reeve and I, in just a couple of minutes with our final interviews.
I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and Helen was always there, supporting me through everything. Today, we're facing a new challenge. Helen has been diagnosed with a terrible disease. Dementia is nothing less than a worldwide epidemic. Formula One moves fast. By contrast, medical research can be painfully slow. We want to bring some of our Formula One technology into the laboratories. Our charity, Race Against Dementia, will help to accelerate the pace of dementia research. Let's beat dementia together.
Welcome back. Final interviews, and I haven't even managed to work out how we're going to do all these in order. I'll tell you what I'm going to do first of all, is I'll do driver of the round and the winner, because I haven't spoken to Jack yet this evening. But then that means that Reeve gets a second chat with Kieran. But hey ho, we'll work it out. But anyway, driver of the round, he knows because we've pulled him into the commentary box, is Andy Stato Carroll. Well done on getting driver of the round, Andy, and thank you for entertaining us. And it really was like you were punching above your weight in the car. I'm not saying the car's not very good, but you were the very clear antidote to the BMWs this evening.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah, no, thanks for driver of the round as well. It's second and third race were just finished on a slightly frustrating note. Kind of obviously first race managed to get out from the back to a decent position, and that put me in a good position for the second and third. And yeah, that second race I was kind of hoping I could nip second, maybe first, but yeah, obviously had a bit of a tangling in the first chicane, and that put me back. And then yeah, this same sort of thing in the final sprint race there, just sort of pushing for try and keep the podium, and then just kind of had a bit of a coming together, and spun out again. So yeah, nice to have the pace, certainly. But yeah, just a bit frustrated with the those two last results.
Well, as I say, yeah, it's. I think you deserve to be on the podium. You drove well enough to be on the podium in race 2 and 3 for sure. Just with a bit of bad luck. Going back to the second one, I mean that was very close between the three of you, and maybe thinking about it in hindsight, someone was going to end up getting a tap, and if you get that in one of these cars, then the effect multiplies, doesn't it? And you're going to go off.
Yeah, I think Jack and Gabe kind of banged a bit of doors and into the braking zone, and I think Jack kind of ran off the track a bit, and I don't know if sort of Gabe was just sort of slow out the corner as a result, but I sort of came through, and yeah, he was just there in the middle of the track, and I sort of slammed on the brakes, but as soon as I hit him, the car spanned. Which was, as I say, it'd been a good race up to then, and sort of them battling allowed me back into it. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting last lap battle, I think. But, hey ho, maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Hopefully, with decent points scored in this one as well, you'll be in the top 15, so you'll be in the reverse section, and rather than being off the back. How much on the back foot were you not having raced last week? Because it was a big ask to get up, and we did spot that you'd got into the, well inside the top 10, ahead of the other people that were outside of that zone quite quickly. So have you done much testing with the car? You seem to adapt to it quite quickly.
Did a lot.
Does the fact that you missed last week, does that sort of put you on the back foot?
It does a bit, obviously, because obviously the first week you can qualify and sort of get a decent position, but if you miss the first week, you're destined to start from the back. So I knew from practice that I had good pace. It was more just a question of how easy it would be to kind of get through the pack, and how quickly that could happen. I would say managed to. I had a bit of an off in turn 1 of the first lap, and that put me back a bit. But after that, good pace, and a few people leaving the track here and there gave me a chance, and I think I ended up 5th at the end of the race. So pretty pleased with that.
Well, it was a cracking evening for me. Thanks for entertaining us, Andy. And I always ask this question: how many of these are you doing?
Hopefully, they're all the rest of them.
That'd be good.
I shall hope. I may have to use my second dropped race at some point, but should be in it for the full run. Nice
one. Well, congratulations on Drive of the Round. Thanks for entertaining us. Have a great week, and look forward to catching up with you again next Tuesday.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Andy Carroll. As I haven't spoken to Kieran, Reeve, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to butt in and grab the...
Of course, yeah.
Thanks, mate. Third place interview with Kieran, second podium of the evening, and it must be nice to sort of build on that progress from last week, because you were where Andy Carroll was last week on the Driver of the Round bit of the podium. So adding to that, building 2 podiums, and not that far away from Mr. Norse in that race 3 as well. So you must be happy with the progress, I guess.
Yeah, the pace was definitely there in that last race. I tried the launch thing at the start, and when I went off the clutch, it didn't go in to first, and I had no revs, so I didn't have the best start. But not the way I wanted to be in P3, because obviously Oliver he had a little off and put me in P3. But a podium's a podium, and it was a good race.
Yeah, you've always got to take those, particularly when championship points are at stake. How do you personally learn from these meetings? And so what are your thoughts? When you come away from race 1. I mean, obviously, I guess you're happy that you got a podium, but what sort of things do you go through your mind in terms of how you can improve over the course of an evening?
To be honest, if I'm behind a person that's quicker, I normally just see how much curb and if they're braking earlier, and I just take that into account and see where I can improve.
That's good. Nice to see. Every day's always a learning day, even if you're as old as me. So it's good to know that you do that too. And thoughts ahead of Spa? Is that somewhere you've had any practice on? Another good classic circuit, really, for me.
Yeah, I do love Spa. It's a very good track. But I am looking forward to the Nurburgring because I did do the event there on iRacing, and I was looking a bit quick. So that's probably going to be my best race, I think. So yeah.
Excellent. We're looking forward to that one as well. It's going to be a touch different, isn't it? I can't remember who we got in the I think we've got one of our guest commentators for that one. I think someone who's actually raced at the Nurburgring for real as well. So if I've got my dates correct. So we're looking for that. Kieran, well done. Lovely to hear you twice on the podium. Well done. And get plenty of practice in for next week, and we'll have some more podium chats with you then.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and well done. Let's hand over to Reeve now. He's going to, I think, have his first chat of the evening with Jack Norse. I knew I'd get a Jack Norse out. He's a footballer, I know. Everyone's called Jack anyway. Gabe Norse. Apologies, Gabe.
Thank you very much, Richard, and congratulations, Gabe, there on another podium this evening. Must be a fun way to round out an evening at Imola. Overall, then, happy with how things went?
Yeah, I mean, that last race was it was decent in the end. I mean, I saw Ollie had an instant or something ahead of me, which definitely helped with getting second place, because I think closing down a 6-second gap wouldn't have been very easy. But yeah, it was quite a decent race, I think. It was a bit unfortunate with that instant at the start, and I mean, I don't really want to talk about it too much, but I felt as though I wasn't really left that much room. But anyways, it was quite a good race.
Yeah, and even if there are small incidents like that out on track, at the end of the day, racing is racing, isn't it? And I'm sure we'll all make friends. And Imola's, as I've said a few times during the broadcast, Imola's certainly by no means an easy track, especially to obviously it's got overtaking opportunities. It's not like some of these modern circuits, but it makes you work for them. It's a proper challenge. Is this circuit, so it's one of the reasons why it's a personal favourite of mine, in fact. But coming up for the next round is another personal favourite of mine, is Spa. Would you say the same about it? Are you a fan of the Belgian circuit?
Yeah, I quite enjoy Spa. I mean, it just I think I need to do a bit more practice, because Jack and Ollie really were just so much quicker than I was this week. But yeah, I mean, I've driven it well quite a lot on the sim, so hopefully I'll be a decent pace around there.
So I'm sure you will be, no matter what circuit that we go to. And I know we'll probably touch on this more in the next round as well, but I'm not going to be in the comms box, at least not planned to, for a little while now. So you're looking forward to that endurance event at the Nurburgring coming up after Spa? Is that something that was really appealing to you in this season that we have?
I think it's going to be interesting, because there's definitely going to be pit stops in that one, I think. So yeah, it's going to be different to how these races have been, but I mean, we just kind of have to see how it goes with how I can actually get the car set up, because as I said, I think that's quite a big weakness at the moment. So if I can get that a bit better, then hopefully we should have a good round around there.
No, I mean, setup. It goes back to during race 3 we were chatting about how even getting something as simple as the fuel load in the car right is tricky, because it's not something necessarily that a driver would usually do in the real world, and that is similar in some regards to setups as well. Obviously, drivers have plenty of input on the setups, but usually there's at least one if not more people assisting with that. In the world of sim racing, you've got to make those changes and do all the work yourself. It is tricky. I certainly am not capable of kind of grasping setups. I know the basics in the real world of need to get the car aligned because the camera's out and that'll cause the inner edge, etc. But I can't apply that to the racetrack. So I imagine you're still better than most, Gabe, on that front. So congratulations on a second podium this evening, and look forward to seeing how the rest of your championship goes, because you're certainly in the mix there.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Reeve. Well done, Gabe. Congratulations on that. We'll catch up with you again next week, I'm sure. And my first chat of the evening with Jack Smith. Well done, Jack, on the hat trick. Decent night's work.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, just basically set out to what I said I'd do. It's a shame Ollie. I don't really know what happened. I think he must have had a moment going through the that awkward middle section, but yeah, if I had enough time to slow down to get him to catch up, I would have. But I'm sorry, to give him another lap, I would have. But yeah, no, shame about that. But yeah, it was yeah, just head down really, quality laps the entire time, and yeah, came away with 3 wins, which is a bit ridiculous, really. So yeah, couldn't ask for more than that.
I'm sure you've probably done that before. I was frantically looking through old paperwork to see. I mean, I think we've had 3 races for most of the campaigns for this year and last year. But going back, there was like a period where we were just having 2, and I got tired of shuffling through the paper. But I'm sure you must have done a hat trick before.
I think so. I think, yeah, I couldn't tell you what it was in, but it might have been back when we were doing the M4 GT4s. I think maybe something around that.
Yeah, I don't think I did that one, so it could well have been.
Yeah, it might have been something about that, but yeah, it's always, you know, it's always ridiculous for anyone to get a hat trick. So it's yeah, gonna take it. Obviously, it's
of
always
course,
good to get points, and
at least you won't be dropping this one.
No, yeah, no, definitely not. It's good if we don't have to choose. Yeah, no, it's always good. So yeah, super happy. I don't think I could have done anything better for this round. Yeah, it's just full steam ahead now to Spa.
So I always ask the important questions. What's the shade colour on the car?
It's like a beige. I don't know. It's the same colour that the Hop Cabin use. So it's basically that colour is their sort of accent colour, and I've used it as a base for the Hopposaurus. So yeah,
yeah, I love it. It's really good. It was reminiscent of me, and you won't know it, but there was a saloon car racing team back in the 70s, Road and Racing, who had those colours. So I know you wouldn't have identified that, but yeah, really neat, and they kind of stood out from everybody else. But yeah, sort of beige and black, which looked really good. The other question I was going to go back and ask you was, how far did you get down the road on the last round of the touring cars, making it across from the test with Century?
Oh my gosh. God, I was when was I when the race started? I think I'd just left Donington. Oh, was it Donington? No, it would have been, yeah. So yeah, that was not ideal. Yeah, so I just left the track, driving back as the first race started. So I didn't really have any chance really. I was driving thinking, damn. Yeah, so I had the stream on in my car as like a background noise, seeing what was happening. It's a shame really. I was hoping I could make it back, at least try to defend it, but yeah, it was no chance in the end, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is.
And how are things with Century? I mean, what was the last thing you were up to with them, and when's the next one?
Yeah, of course. So last round we were at Alton. We had a really good round actually with the 24 car. Both Jack and Brandon did really well. Yeah, race 1 we got the overall win GT4, which is amazing. Like that's my first time contributing to a quite a big team and getting such a good result out of it. I think we managed the ballast that we had really well, and then we came away with a win in race 1. And then race 2 we got a podium in class, and I think we finished P4 overall. So yeah, again, really good drive from both of them. And we were holding up Colin Turkington of all people. It's like, yeah, it's just crazy. So me and both the drivers, we're on the sim quite a bit, sort of practicing now for Spa, which is in it's next week, not this week, coming next week. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what we can do there, because our success ballast looks really good there as well. So we'll have to see what happens.
Excellent, exciting times. We'll keep an eye out for the results as well. Will we see you with the Carrera Cup part of it as well at some point, or?
You mean with Century?
Yeah.
I won't be with the Carrera Cup side, unfortunately. Are you with that package? Is that why?
Yeah, that's the only reason I said, because I was sort of going up and down at, I can't remember the last time Carrera was definitely at Brands. I was looking, and but doesn't sound like you're there.
No, yeah, I'll be with the SRO lot. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's a great opportunity, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, great package.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's super fun. I can't wait to go to Spa. It'll be my first time going there in real life, so it's gonna be crazy to do a track walk around there and just see everything. Yeah, just hope the weather's nice. I think that's all I'm hoping for.
Well, fingers crossed. Great way to sign off. Well done on taking the 3 wins, Jack. Thanks for the entertainment this evening, and we will see you virtually at Spa in a week's time.
Of course, thank you very much. I just want to quickly shout out a few people. First of all, I want to shout out Lee from the Hop Cabin. Unfortunately, he's not had some great news recently. So me and Ollie both racing for him this evening, and I think we did him proud. So yeah, big shout out to Lee. I know it's bit rough times ahead, but it's all. I did this one purely for Lee, trying to get a really good result for him this evening. So hope he's still listening. Hope he's still there, Lee. Hope you're doing all right. Yeah, we're all here for you. So yeah, it all is good. And quick shout out again to my girlfriend and my family. I know they're always watching. Everyone at DK Power for getting this car here and in real life, hopefully very soon. Around the corner, car is in the shop at the minute. It's gonna be fun getting that car shaken down, ready for Dave to go racing. And yeah, it's gonna be really fun. So exciting times ahead. And yeah, just shout out to everyone who makes it possible.
Well done, Jack. Thank you for that. And I don't know what the story with Lee is, but Lee, wish you well and strength if needed. And for everyone who's going through difficult times for whatever reason at the moment, for sure. But Jack, thanks again, mate. Well done, and we'll see you same time next week.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
So there we go. A little bit later than we planned this evening, but it is always worth having a chat with our podium properly and drivers around, etc., etc. And also, of course, within that, thinking about what we're looking forward to next week, which is our, I think Becky back with us next week. Becky Apricio back with us next week. So looking forward to catching up with Becky. We've also got the championship table online now. I usually manage to go into the phone and have a look, but we've actually managed to drag it up for you. Jack Smith leading from Gabe Norris, Oliver Gibson in third, Kieran Haynes fourth from Lee Piercy and Ollie Atkins. Pretty much top five as they were last week, with a couple of little tiny swaps. Ollie Atkins in sixth, Chris Blakey seventh from Mason Turner, Christian Gillian ninth, top 10 completed by Sam Walton. Thanks guys for pulling that up for us, and always provisional, obviously, until we get the various judicials, if needed, done. If you care to have a look, probably Thursday morning, Thursday lunchtime, something like that, you'll be able to see where things are in terms of the points. But as ever, we look forward to your company next week. Before we do the official sign-off, Ruth Taylor, thanks ever so much, mate. Been a lovely evening working with you. And thanks to Steve Allen for 100% top job once again. And thanks in advance to Ian Danner, who's going to be doing all the clerking afterwards. I think we catch up with you next time at Fuji, Ruth.
Yes, a little bit of a break, but I'm making sure to tune in, particularly to those endurance races. They should be plenty of fun. So looking forward to jumping back in the comms box.
I think you need the bandana, sort of the ninja type bandana that we see Steve wearing there, maybe for Fuji. I might sport mine as well.
Oh, that's a good idea. Photoshop, I'm sure, can provide the goods on that, if not.
Don't give me more work to do, please.
Hello, Rich Hayden. Hello, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you. Yeah, not too bad. Had a difficult evening. I've put my back out this morning, so every time I broke, sharp pains up the back. But yeah, it was all good.
Ooh.
Yeah,
no,
it's all
not.
good.
No, it's not good.
Just don't break.
Just don't break, yeah. Oh, we had a few people doing that this evening, but which I'm sure me and Ian will be looking at tomorrow.
Well, okay, I'm gonna sign off now anyway because I need to get away. But thanks everyone for watching, and thanks to drivers for the entertainment. As ever, be nice to each other, and we'll see you next time out at Spa. Bye for now.